A desperate man etched runes into the dirt, praying for an ancient entity to answer his summons with power and wealth. This was his final gamble to cure his mother's illness and escape the suffocating debts crushing his very existence. 3 notifications shattered the silence. His loan was rejected, and a massive debt of $110,000 was due. His total debt reached a staggering $100,031,891,201. Penalties would soon spike the total by 5%. Then, a threatening text arrived from a creditor hunting him down. The man begged for mercy, offering his humble soul and body to serve the great being for eternity. He pleaded to become a star. Suddenly, lightning struck, blasting him into unconsciousness as his world faded into agonizing pain. He awoke in a daze, remembering only his office work. Hurrying to finish his tasks, a puddle reflection stopped him cold. Panic surged as he stared at a stranger's face. He questioned how he had ended up in this body. Before him stood a colossal, glowing magical tree. A mysterious voice suddenly congratulated him on his successful arrival. Shocked, he realized the great being had answered. As a reward, he was granted 3 wishes for the summons. A talking book appeared, defying all logic. He realized then that he had truly transmigrated into a fantasy world. This was his legendary cheat, though 3 wishes felt stingy compared to the unlimited powers he'd read about. My first wish is for 10 more wishes, he declared. The book emitted a dark, malevolent energy, sensing a contract shift. Terror gripped him as a gargantuan shadow loomed over his small, trembling frame. The entity revealed its monstrous true form, instantly deducing that a foreign soul now inhabited the man's vessel. Pawing, he asked for the creature's identity. The being sneered, claiming a mere mortal was unworthy of such knowledge. He explained the original owner traded his soul for a wish, leaving an empty shell that this new soul occupied. The entity decided this new soul was now his property too. The man's dream was quickly becoming a living nightmare. His supposed cheat was a soul-devouring trap. He realized he had to run before he was completely possessed. The great being warned him that even the thought of breaking the contract would trigger excruciating, soul-shredding punishment. Ethereal fire engulfed him as he screamed. The entity watched, disappointed by the weakness of this pathetic, flickering soul. Through the agony, the man gasped out the specific legal clauses of their mystical agreement. Force majeure exempts me from liability, he shouted, arguing that any interference was the great being's own responsibility. He knew he couldn't be killed for a breach. The entity was stunned that a mortal dared negotiate with rules. He realized the being hadn't killed him yet because this was a test for a suitable candidate. Do I qualify for a new contract? He challenged. The great being let out a thunderous, amused laugh. Piqued by the boy's audacity, the entity offered a deal. A new life in exchange for 1 wish. The entity's wish was for 999 conditions to be met by the man in his new life. Decide now, the being pressured. The man realized the entity had shamelessly stolen his own multi-wish trick. With only 1 minute until death, the man had no choice but to sign the soul-binding agreement. He pledged his soul to fulfill 999 conditions set by the mysterious contract holder. Every completed condition would grant him rewards from the entity holding his soul. Zhou Chen signed his name. Later, he limped home in tattered clothes, praying no one saw his pathetic state. He cursed his new boss for dumping him. He was told the boss would summon him only when needed. He was free for now, but felt like a mule. Complaining was pointless, he had to survive this new reality. He entered his dark, silent home. It was clear the family's situation was even bleaker than he imagined. He found a stack of blood loan notices. The weight of this family's suffering hit him all at once. You brat! A voice barked. A heavy pipe slammed into his head before he could even react. An enraged loan shark stood over him, furious that the boy had ignored his persistent calls. One thug cautioned against killing him, while the other laughed, noting the kid was as tough as nails. Who are you? Chen groaned. The man beat him again, demanding payment for the loan from last week. He mocked Chen's mother for not selling enough blood. He called her a fool for wasting her life. She was dying to save a piece of trash. Garbage will always be garbage, the shark spat. He ridiculed Chen's dreams of rising in rank. All that debt only got him to the lowest bronze tier. That brat and the old hag? They aren't even fit to scrub my boots. He spat. Once someone asked if he'd ever quit being a prophet. His answer to his mother was simple. Yes, he couldn't bear her suffering. Last night, a chilling nightmare had haunted his sleep. In that dream, his mother worked until her bones turned to dust, collapsing into an eternal slumber. He refused to let that fate manifest. Fear gnawed at him, the fear of her never waking, of failing his path. But his mother's voice was a steady anchor of reassurance. Even if the heavens collapse, I'll hold them up for you, she promised. Just believe in the power residing within your soul. As memory surged, his eyes ignited with a divine glow. Hey, deaf or something? The thug barked. Suddenly, crack, fist met face. The blow sent him spiraling across the room. Easy now, the leader muttered without looking. Don't go killing the kid just yet. Instead, his comrade came flying back. The impact shattered his jaw, knocking him into a cold, toothless oblivion. Shock paralyzed the gang. This wasn't the weakling they knew. Then, they felt it, a terrifying aura radiating from the boy. Star level? Impossible, they gasped. Chen narrowed his eyes. Is it a crime for someone from the bottom to rise? Shut your mouths, he growled. Your pathetic whining is grating on my ears. His arrogance burned brighter than his low rank suggested. Break his legs, they roared, fueled by rage. Amidst the chaos, Chen wondered. Was the oracle's power finally awakening within him? Their movements were sluggish, as if time had slowed. Despite their higher levels, he saw every opening, every desperate strike. A fist slammed into the floor, cratering the concrete. But Chen was already gone, reappearing behind his foe to deliver a punishing kick. An E-class stage 2. Moving like that? The man trembled. Such speed and raw strength shouldn't exist in a low ranker. He lunged for a blind spot strike, aiming for the ribs. But Chen countered with a back kick to the chest. He saw everything. Fear replaced arrogance. Please, stop, he whimpered, backed into a corner. We were just following orders from Lin Yu. He sent us for the debt. Chen's eyes darkened at the name. Tell Lin Yu. I'll settle my accounts soon enough. Now, take your trash and vanish. They scrambled away like frightened rats. Chen knew, however, that the true boss was watching. Sharp intuition. The hidden voice chuckled, impressed. Chen frowned. I felt a strange, borrowed strength flowing through me. You were helping from the shadows, weren't you? The boss laughed. Correct. Without my grace, you'd be nothing but meat paste. Be grateful, boy. Chen smirked. He'd found his golden finger. With this power, he would never have to fear anyone again. Don't get ahead of yourself, the boss warned. My divinity isn't a toy for a mere mortal like you to flaunt. You're lucky the backlash didn't kill you. One step further, and your body would have burst before they even touched you. Chen sighed. So, no perks for working with you? He argued that becoming stronger would make their tasks much easier. The contract guarantees a reward, the boss mused. But I haven't decided what a soul like yours deserves quite yet. And don't dream of borrowing power again unless you have a death wish. Chen grumbled, his excitement dampened by the grim warning. He reluctantly agreed. Secretly, the boss was stunned. The kid hadn't just survived the power, he had mastered its flow. Could he be the fated one? Chen interrupted his thoughts. So, about my second wish. Have you decided? You're here to grant my desires, remember? The boss scoffed. I have infinite wishes, boy. Yours will have to wait. When the time is right, you'll see. Chen looked around. What now? The answer was simple. Whatever your heart desires. Frustration boiled over. In this vast cutthroat world, Chen was a ghost with no direction and a mountain of mysteries. He hoped for a sign, a spark of divine guidance, but none came. With a sigh, he checked the discarded phone. It belonged to the previous owner of this body. If he was to survive this life, he needed to unearth his secrets. The screen was a graveyard of debt notices and medical bills. The price of being a prophet was far heavier than expected. No family, no friends, just cold demands for money. Until a single notification made his blood run cold. It was his sister. Mom's in a coma. Get to Tianlan Hospital now. The words were a knife to the heart. He raced there, breathless with dread. A lone woman sat by the sterile bed. The air was thick with a suffocating, heavy silence, the weight of shared resentment. There she was, Zhou Ying, her shoulders hunched under the weight of the world. And there lay his mother, pale and fragile. She looked so much smaller than in his fading memories. I'm sorry, he whispered to his sister, the words tasting like ash. How is she? He asked. Zhou Ying's gaze was ice. What's the excuse this time? Another breakthrough? Another god to summon? Silence was his only shield. She worked herself to the bone for your debts, she spat, her voice trembling with suppressed rage. We gave you everything. She nearly died because we couldn't even afford the ICU. Tears finally broke through her porcelain mask. Her spirit seemed to snap. We're done, Chen. Mom and I are exhausted. She slid a single bank card across the table. I'll take care of her now. You're on your own. Go pay off your own damn sins. With that, she turned away. Shock rippled through him, tinged with a cold dread. Then, the final blow fell. His sister was officially severing all ties. Stepping out into the hospital air, the boss's gaze pierced through him, easily sensing the raw anxiety beneath his skin. Did her words cut deep? The boss probed. Chen shook it off to him. She was little more than a complete stranger. This harsh reality was not his burden to bear. Amused, Chen noted he never pegged the boss for the sympathetic type. Shrugging it off, he muttered he was fine, only haunted by the bitter flickering ghosts of a former life. In those days, he was paralyzed, desperate words dying in his throat while the world moved on without him. Don't let this chaos stall your ambition, the boss warned. Chen struck a deal, prove his worth, and gain ultimate power. Strength would be his only redemption. If he could demonstrate true value, the boss vowed to pave his path to greatness. Could this boy be his fated turning point? The boss only hoped this gamble would not drag them both into ruin. Deep within the Yao Ya Club's presidential suite, a smug voice declared that the recent profits were more than satisfactory. Double the investment, commanded a man wreathed in cigar smoke, lounging with beauties draped over each of his arms. Accelerate the recovery, he barked. The higher-ups are running out of time, and our window is closing fast. Bowing low, the subordinate offered a final report. An investigation revealed that trouble was brewing within the Area A organization. Rent collection turned violent when 3 men were floored by a student. The boss recalled the debt deadline loomed ahead. Those greedy bastards were skimming off the top. Their selfishness was poisoning the business, scaring away potential marks for loans. Handle it by the book, he ordered. The subordinate nodded, though he hinted this was no ordinary breach of conduct. The victims were skilled apprentice thieves, levels 2 and 3. Yet, the report claimed a lone student had dismantled them. A fresh apprentice level 2? Intriguing. The boss demanded a name, and was handed a file labeled with Chen's profile. Impossible. A level 2 while crushing a level 3? Even the weakest level 3 should dominate 10 such opponents easily. Raw skill alone cannot bridge that level gap. The boss realized the truth. This kid was likely masking level 3 power. Hiding his fangs, how fascinating. He ordered his men to shadow the boy, unwilling to let such talent slip away. Dawn broke as Chen jogged through the quiet neighborhood, unaware that a keen pair of aged eyes was watching him. The elder marveled at the boy's newfound discipline. Chen offered a polite nod, acknowledging the old man's friendly greeting. Fresh stock of A-grade Starlight supplements, the man boasted. Just 400 per bottle for a rising star like you. Chen politely declined, his current stash still holding out, but promised to return the moment his supplies ran dry. I'll give you a deal then. The elder beamed, noting the bright spark of life now dancing in Chen's eyes. Found a girlfriend, have we? Following his discharge, Chen dedicated his days to mastering this new body and scouring research. Fragments of the original soul merged with his own, granting him a basic grasp of this strange, power-driven reality. In this world, strength was forged through regular supplements. Those who transcended humanity were collectively whispered of as oracles. The cost of ascending to a speaker was astronomical, a price paid in a mountain of soul-crushing, massive debt. The ceiling of power remained a mystery, but one truth was absolute: even low-tier oracles were gods among normal people. Strength from a bottle. He mused after training. No wonder people bleed their fortunes dry for even a single drop. In his past life, these gains would have taken forever. Suddenly, the shrill ring of his phone shattered his thoughts. Who would call at this ungodly hour? A piercing voice exploded from the receiver. It was the loud class representative. His temporary freedom was officially over. The teacher had dispatched the rep to haul him back to the classroom. Don't tell me you forgot. The rep huffed. Chen played it cool, though the memory had nearly slipped through his fingers. Within Riten High, the history lesson ended, shifting the focus to how oracles dominated the very pulse of the economy. Chen's pen flew across the paper. Status was everything, a hierarchy stretching from grade E up to the legendary grade S. To evolve, one had to peak within their rank. Those who attained grade S status were revered as literal gods. The world was a layered cage. Commoners and grade E dregs rotted in the fifth layer, while elites held the center. Stuck at the lowest grade, Chen's only priority was a rapid ascent. Suddenly, a pebble struck him, cutting his focus. The thugs mocked his high test scores, but the teacher's announcement chilled the air. A fitness test was imminent. The speaker program felt like an endless gym session. Too easy, Chen thought, right before a hostile voice called out. Anticipation rippled through the class as a bully seized Chen's collar. You got a problem with your eyes, kid? He sneered. Gonna talk me to death? The bully laughed. In this world, words were worthless. Only levels and power dictated the victor. Based on his aura, he was mere level 1 trash. Chen countered, proving the bully's own logic made him garbage too. Caught off guard, the bully's rage boiled over. He lunged at Chen, screaming he would tear his mouth into pieces. Chen effortlessly caught the fist, staring him down coldly. The bully froze, his mind racing to understand this sudden power. He was pinned like a helpless insect. Looking up, he realized Chen looked like a giant. Everything is decided by power. Now it is my turn to silence you, Chen declared. Fear paralyzed the bully as Chen's overwhelming aura suffocated the air. Suddenly, a crushing pressure descended upon them. Their teacher intervened, demanding to know who authorized this reckless display of violence. This was Tian Shija, a grade D level 5. He glared at Chen, annoyed that the troublemaker had returned to cause chaos. With total composure, Chen claimed they were merely enjoying a friendly spar. He then released his grip, letting the bully collapse. Shija issued a final warning before gathering the class. It was time for the test that would determine their ultimate fate. The teacher reminded them that only 3 months remained until graduation. The upcoming exchange tournament would change their lives forever. Success meant bringing glory to the school. Only the strongest would earn a coveted spot in a prestigious Oracle Academy. He offered imported grade A supplements to ensure their victory. Each bottle cost $6,000, a steep price for power. Training commenced immediately. One student struggled through pull-ups, his strength failing after only 24 grueling repetitions. Another prodigy reached 50 with ease. Chen watched from the sidelines, wondering if this simple test truly measured an oracle's worth. He expected something far more legendary. The class representative, Lantian, approached him with a look of genuine concern. She worried his sudden absence meant something terrible had happened. Blushing, she quickly apologized for appearing overly nosy or intrusive. Taking leave so close to the final exams was unheard of. Chen smiled, thanking her for her kindness and reassurances. She asked if he was purchasing the expensive supplements. Chen admitted he was completely out of credits and money. He wondered if he was the only one in class who couldn't afford such luxury. Was everyone else truly that wealthy? She feared his lack of resources would ruin his scores. Before she could offer help, someone called her away. Lantian bid him farewell and began her set. Her body trembled violently as she pushed herself to her absolute limits. Shija ignored her struggle, focused instead on his supplement sales. He only acknowledged her once she hit 35 reps. Chen realized the truth. Those who paid for the teacher's expensive potions were the only ones receiving his favor. Everyone was desperate for high marks. However, Chen felt a strange confidence that his natural strength was more than enough. With no money to spend, he was called forward. The teacher sneered, noting Chen hadn't purchased a single bottle of supplement. Shija decided to make an example out of him. He planned to deduct points and ensure Chen failed the exam. Chen examined the equipment cautiously. He suspected the oracle's test held secrets far beyond a simple pull-up bar. As he gripped the steel, his weight suddenly multiplied. The more power he exerted, the heavier gravity's crushing embrace became. The crystal on his wrist was the culprit. Just as he suspected, this trial was designed to test his very soul. The weight had a limit. Chen adapted instantly, deciding to use this rare opportunity to push his new limits even further. The crowd watched in stunned silence. Chen shattered his old record, smashing through nearly 100 reps with godlike ease. This performance was legendary, rivaling a second-rank elite. His classmates couldn't believe the power radiating from his every move. Chen finished the set and dropped down. Immediately, his peers swarmed him, their eyes filled with awe and sudden respect. They claimed he belonged in the elite class. Everyone begged to know what secret supplement had granted him such explosive growth. The teacher's mind raced with suspicion. He suspected illegal enhancers, yet he knew such substances were far too expensive for Chen. If Chen reached second rank alone, his supplement business was doomed. No one would buy his goods if self-training worked better. Resentment flared within Shija. He couldn't allow a student to threaten his profits or undermine his authority in the school. He vowed to teach Chen a brutal lesson. Meanwhile, the principal received devastating news regarding the upcoming exchange meet matches. Their school lacked the resources to produce a third rank. The principal sighed, knowing how difficult it was to find talent. The government was only interested in elite oracles. They had no sympathy for schools that couldn't produce top-tier warriors. Funding was being redirected to elite academies. It was a cold, bureaucratic decision that left their school in the dust. The call ended abruptly, leaving the principal in despair. He slammed the phone down, feeling the weight of the academy's failure. Maintaining second-rank equipment was already draining their budget. They simply couldn't afford the tech required for a third rank. With only 3 months left, finding a prodigy seemed impossible. The future of the Oracle Academy was looking darker than ever. He considered gambling their remaining funds on one student, even if it meant expelling the weak. Desperate, he prayed to his predecessors, fearing the academy's downfall was imminent. A knock broke his trance as CGI entered, proudly presenting the latest results. The teacher boasted that the performance was excellent. However, the principal's eyes darkened as he scanned the report. Excellent? He thought bitterly. These level 1 failures weren't warriors, they were just more useless trash unfit for the trials of the real world. Jia whispered a name. Chen. Deemed unworthy, Chen was summoned to the principal's office immediately. The ancient soul asked what trouble he'd caused. Chen shook his head, completely clueless. The principal's legendary coldness was no secret. Chen prayed this wasn't the end for him. As his hand touched the door, a flame flickered. The mysterious boss seemed to have foreseen this. His desire had triggered. The target was close. Chen groaned, wondering why it had to be now. No turning back now. The boss warned him, succeed quietly or be consumed by the flames. Come in, the principal barked. He glanced at the files, noting Chen's decent physical results. Nearly level 2. Impressive. Yet your history of defiance shows a reckless, hot-blooded spirit. But that matters little. Oracles need gold, not grit. You should quit while you're ahead. Chen's face drained of color. Are you telling me to leave the academy? He stammered. Exactly. The path of an oracle is paved with debts you simply cannot afford. Look at your family's plight. Don't waste your life on a dream destined to fail. You have potential, but our school is starving. We must invest our limited resources elsewhere. We can't waste space on the average. We need a level 3 genius for the exchange. Take your tuition back and leave. Don't bother returning tomorrow. What do you say? Inside the book, the entity's eyes widened. A black crystal sat atop the principal's shelf. That's it, grab it now, the voice urged. Chen hissed back, I'm a bit busy failing. The boss growled. The contract required the item to officially belong to Chen first. His debts were mounting. Without that certificate, reaching the middle city was an impossible dream. This was his only shot. For the sake of his future and that crystal he couldn't leave. He calmed his racing heart. Historically, level 2 was the absolute peak of this academy. If he could surpass that limit, he would become the school's most precious asset. It was time to evolve. He recalled the boss's offer of a special forbidden reward. I've made my choice, Chen whispered. The boss smirked, sensing his hunger for borrowed power. Your vessel will shatter, the boss warned. He was lucky to have survived the last surge. Expulsion means failure, Chen countered. I won't lose my chance at the middle city. Trust me, Chen demanded. The boss sighed. Fine, your life, your consequences. Don't blame me. A glowing seal manifested in the air. The contract for forbidden power was finally signed. The pact was sealed. Power was his to command. Are we done here? The principal asked. Test me again, Chen declared boldly. One last chance to prove my worth before I go. Their hands met. The principal sensed level 2 strength impressive, but still not enough. Everything rested on this moment. Chen pushed himself, wondering how much power he could endure. Suddenly, a blinding radiance erupted. The very air trembled under the crushing pressure. Even the boss was stunned. Chen's strength was skyrocketing far beyond the borrowed limits. Level 4. A miracle. The principal stared, realizing fate had finally smiled upon them. You must represent us in the district games. Chen stood there, utterly speechless. The plan was simple, show the Ministry of Education that this school still bred monsters. This competition was the ultimate stage. For years, they had been the laughingstock of the district. Without results, their funding would vanish. They had targeted Chen only out of desperate necessity. I hope you can forgive us, the principal pleaded. Chen nodded, accepting the apology. Your tuition is waived. Plus, your weekly star energy supplements will be doubled immediately. Tell me your desires. The principal smiled. A genius like you deserves the very best. The school's very existence rested on his shoulders. Would he lead them to glory? Seeing the principal's desperation, Chen realized he held all the cards in his hand. Chen pointed toward the cabinet. I want that black crystal. Do we have a deal? This treasure was forged from a rare star crystal, retrieved from the middle city by my predecessor. Though its power is faint, it embodies our school's soul. Yet, without a school, even a soul fades. If Chen can save us, this gift is a small price. Chen then vowed to crush the competition. The pact was sealed. Still, the principal wondered how did this boy's level skyrocket so fast. Chen claimed he was mastering a secret art to mask his true strength, a technique he is still perfecting. He requested total secrecy, and the principal agreed. Masking one's level is a classic tactic for elite UJs. Surprised by such tactical wisdom in one so young, the principal gave his word. The secret was safe. With the future now resting on Chen's shoulders, the principal felt at peace. Suddenly, a woman entered. He ordered her to escort Chen to the special class immediately, and provide all the promised supplements. She revealed that the entire second floor was the special class's domain. Chen bowed gratefully before registering. She wondered about their bond, having never seen the principal so happy. Chen merely said they clicked. Suddenly, a figure sprinted toward them. Grabbing Chen's arms, the man cried out that he tried his best. He had begged the principal for mercy, but failed. He shouted that every student deserves a chance. Thinking Chen was expelled, he urged him never to give up. The teacher blinked, completely baffled. She corrected him Chen wasn't leaving. He was transferring to the elite class. They were heading there now. Then she warned Jia that the principal was furious and waiting for him. Jia knew he was doomed. Night fell, and Chen brooded in his room. Reaching level 4 from level 2 in 3 months? It seemed impossible. Even wealthy geniuses spent fortunes and years just to break through a single stage. For a penniless boy, jumping 2 levels was madness. Desperate, he asked the boss for a shortcut. The boss scoffed at the idea. If Chen wanted more help, he'd have to grant a wish first. Blame your own choices, the boss sneered. Chen sighed it was the only path open to him. The boss reminded him of the grim warning. Use that power too long, and it would consume him. Chen wasn't foolish enough to rely solely on borrowed strength. Still, his results were nothing short of legendary. Expulsion avoided and free supplements secured he was ahead of schedule. Leveling up could wait for now. But a deadline loomed. The debt was due in 5 days. He needed fast cash within the school. Chen's nose wrinkled in disgust. This place looked less like a school and more like a decaying factory. A man waved him over from the shadows. He'd noticed Chen was missing during the morning roll call. Assuming the boy was lost, he sighed. Managing the entire class alone was becoming a logistical nightmare. Apologizing for the slip-up, he introduced himself as Mr. Zhang, the teacher of the prestigious elite class. Chen expected a cold, strict drill sergeant. Instead, Mr. Zhang was shockingly laid back and easygoing. When asked about the lack of staff, Zhang confirmed the reality. They only had 3 academic teachers left. Zhang was the sole combat instructor. With enrollment plummeting, the student body had dwindled to a handful. The outer campus was in ruins, forcing them inside. Hiring new staff was simply out of the question. Seeing the decay, Chen finally understood the principal's desperation. But Mr. Zhang offered a reassuring nod. A starving camel is still larger than a horse, he quipped, confident that their school wouldn't crumble. Entering the hall, Zhang explained it was a free sparring session before leading Chen to meet the class. The difference was night and day. This elite facility was a state-of-the-art fortress compared to the yard. The air hummed with raw intensity. Zhang signaled for silence, calling everyone over to meet the newcomer. He introduced Chen, noting that while he was late, the elite class cared only for absolute power. Zhang believed Chen had the skills, hoping the team would bond before the grueling exchange competition. A voice sneered from the back. I doubt it. He clearly thought Chen was a weakling using connections. Zhang warned Ma Wenhao to watch it, but Wenhao just smirked, issuing a formal challenge to Chen. The room went silent. A formal challenge meant the loser would become the winner's servant without complaint. A blonde student leaned in, asking about the stir. The new guy is fighting Wenhao, she whispered. Chen accepted, leaving the principal in a sweat while the crowd roared for Wenhao to crush him. The principal pondered. With Chen undergoing secret training, this was the perfect stage to gauge his true potential. He ordered the arena prepped and sanctioned the duel. Under Mr. Zhang's watchful eye, the stage was set. Seeing it was Chen's debut match, Zhang briefly outlined the rules to ensure a fair fight. Formal challenges mirror exchange competitions, a pure one-on-one showdown where only 2 warriors enter the ring. Interference is forbidden. Any meddling results in instant expulsion, and both fighters must be of equal rank. Cross-level combat is strictly prohibited. Wenhao's eyes narrowed as he confirmed Chen was merely rank E2. Zhang stressed this was a friendly spar. Lethal strikes and targeting vulnerable vitals were absolutely off-limits. Forbidden moves and petty grudges are banned. A single blow to the face or surrendering signifies total defeat. The battle roared to life. Wenhao lunged forward, aiming to end the match with a lightning-fast blitz. He sought a one-hit knockout. But to his shock, Chen anticipated the rush and flawlessly parried the strike. Impossible! He couldn't fathom Chen's reaction speed. Wenhao unleashed a flurry of punches, but Chen slipped them all. Annoyed by Chen's elusive movements, Wenhao grew desperate to corner him and seal his fate. He blurred with blinding speed. Caught off guard, Chen barely blocked the strike with his forearm. Wenhao's hook wind kick is lethal. It shifts midair, ensuring a crushing impact even if blocked. As Chen hit the turf, Wenhao pressed the advantage. But Chen's gaze burned with a new intensity. His aura erupted. Chen countered with a devastating kick, leaving Wenhao reeling from his expert combat technique. Wenhao fought to stay composed. As long as his face stayed untouched, victory was still within his reach. He clung to hope, but then Chen's fist gently tapped his nose. Game over. A hit to the face. Stunned silence followed. Zhang declared Chen the victor, leaving a shell-shocked Wenhao in utter disbelief. The crowd was speechless. The new guy wasn't just talented, he was a monster in disguise. For Chen, the duel ended far too quickly. He turned to Wenhao, asking if his complaints were finally silenced. Even Mr. Zhang was shaken. Despite Wenhao's elite training, he had been crushed by the newcomer's power. Without any formal training, Chen's raw physical prowess and instinctive reflexes were nothing short of legendary. He was a combat prodigy. No wonder the principal wanted every eye on this rising star. Suddenly, the principal appeared in person. He pulled Chen aside, his expression grave with a secret message. A pink-haired girl whispered to her companion, stunned that the rookie possessed such overwhelming strength. The blonde student smirked. Someone that powerful belonged under their wing as a subordinate. The principal asked about the elite class. Chen shrugged, noting his classmates were a bit too passionate. The principal chuckled. Powerful oracles are magnets for attention, it's a burden he must learn to carry. He urged Chen to focus solely on training. The school would provide everything his heart desired. Realizing he'd earned the principal's trust, Chen saw his chance to secure his financial future. He inquired about quick ways to earn cash. But the principal insisted students shouldn't worry about money. Dedicate yourself to the path of power, he urged. Fortune follows those who reach the top. The school would support his family if needed, but Chen played it cool, claiming mere curiosity. Secretly, Chen knew he needed another way. Back in the gym, he resumed his light training routine. He recalled the harsh penalties for student debt here. One wrong move could ruin everything. As he plotted his next move, a shadow fell over him. It was the blonde elite, Jerui. Slapping an arm around Chen, Jerui praised the match. Getting FaceTime with the principal? Who are you, really? Chen tossed the question back. Suddenly, a voice scolded Chen Jerui for his lack of manners. It was Susha, a pink-haired girl. She apologized for Jerui's rudeness, claiming he lacked a filter. We're your seniors, she explained. Lean on us. Jerui beamed, declaring them a new three-man squad. I'll lead you well. Jerui boasted, then asked about Chen's combat technique. Chen was clueless about the term. Susha explained that prophets learn secret arts from scrolls. Powerful ones cost a staggering 500,000. Chen's jaw dropped. These kids were filthy rich. If anyone knew how to make bank, it was them. He confessed his lack of funds and asked for money-making tips. Jerui's advice? We could always rob a bank. Only one place fit that description. For quick cash and lawless chaos, the Blackwater Zone was the ultimate miracle land. Shakia bonked him, warning him not to lead the boy astray. Teachers would be furious, but Chen's curiosity was already piqued. Jerui quickly backtracked, citing the school's strict ban. One wrong move in that forbidden territory meant instant expulsion for any student. He asked about the cost for the technique. Chen's answer of 300,000 credits left them stunned by the price. Their bank accounts were empty. Faced with no other choice, Chen decided to head for Blackwater Road the moment school ended. His phone confirmed the location. Despite the eerie, abandoned atmosphere of the street, it was surprisingly close to his home. He ditched his school uniform to stay anonymous. He tried asking the boss for advice, but received only a cold silence. Assuming the boss was away, he pushed forward. Since the outer zone oracles were low tier, he felt confident in his safety. As a tier 4, escaping trouble would be easy. Still, the desolate state of the area suggested it had been long abandoned. He doubted a miracle land existed here until he spotted fresh footsteps. Someone had definitely been active in the area recently. He discovered a secret passage and entered. Unaware that shadowed figures with murderous intent were already tracking his every move. Inside was a bustling, chaotic world of filth. Illegal trades happened openly, explaining why everyone spoke of this place in whispers. It was a lawless realm where profit ruled all. Despite the danger, this was his best shot at raising money fast. He turned around, demanding to know how long they planned to follow him. The thugs emerged, praising his sharp survival instincts. Their plan to kidnap him had changed. Since he noticed them, they decided to beat him down before taking him away. The thugs believed he was just another rich kid seeking thrills. A ransom for his return would surely make them wealthy men. Their scheme was pathetic. One thug slapped his cheek, mistaking Chen's calm expression for a state of absolute, frozen terror. They demanded cooperation in exchange for his life. Chen simply stared back, unimpressed, calling the man incredibly rude. With a single swift strike to the head, the leader collapsed. The remaining thugs watched in shock as their boss hit the dirt. Knives drawn, they charged forward for revenge. Suddenly, flying crates intercepted them, knocking both men senseless from behind. A hooded woman appeared, grabbing his hand tightly. She urged him to follow her as she dragged him away from the scene. They reached a safe spot. Chen thanked his savior, though he secretly wished he could have questioned those thugs first. She nearly blew her cover by recognizing him. Chen looked at her curiously, asking if they had met somewhere before. Relieved he did not remember her, she lied. She claimed she had simply spotted his name written on his school collar. He was shocked to see his name exposed, yet relieved she was a stranger. She celebrated her narrow escape from being identified. She warned him about exposing his identity in this dangerous district. He refused her offer of an escort, citing urgent business. He feared being caught as a student. Little did he know, she was already certain this boy was the Chen she remembered. She wondered if his memory loss was genuine. Seeing him here as a student made her deeply curious about his true motives. Seeing his agility, she wondered if he had become a thief. Later, Chen bought a $10 mask to ensure his anonymity. He wandered aimlessly, unsure how to earn cash. A stranger soon approached, noting that he clearly did not belong in these parts. The man introduced himself as an expert local guide, boasting that he knew every dark secret within the Blackwater district. Chen asked where he could find fast cash. The guide happily led the way, secretly excited about the referral fee. They entered a shadowy building housing a massive arena. Inside, the crowd roared as a fighter landed a devastating blow. Chen realized this was an underground fighting pit. His guide promised this was the only place to earn serious money fast. A special match was scheduled with a massive prize pool. High-tier Herald fighters were already clashing in intense, blood-soaked battles. With stakes this high, it was the perfect opportunity. Despite his opponent's terrifying appearance, Chen noted his low power level. The guide offered to get him betting chips. To his utter shock, Chen declared he was there to claim the entire prize. The hooded woman watched from the shadows, amazed by the boy's strength. She wondered what business he had in such a place. His opponent, a seeded fighter named Yurf, warned him not to get cocky after only 2 minor victories. Yurf would not stop talking. Chen silenced him with a single explosive punch that sent the tournament veteran crashing down. The crowd grew restless as every opponent fell in a single blow. Chen did not care. He only wanted a clean victory. The next smug challenger was silenced before he could speak. Another tried to surrender, but Chen sent him flying regardless. The manager in the white suit turned pale. He had expected an easy mark, not a monster who crushed every challenger. Panic spread as their fighters fled in terror. Accused of rigging the matches, the arena faced a wave of refund demands. Desperate to save the arena, the boss ordered his secret weapon out. Meanwhile, Chen delivered a final, bone-crushing blow. Chen demanded his winnings from the official, but the host incited the crowd's bloodlust for one more round. The greedy management orchestrated a final slaughter. Chen realized the house never intended to play fair. The ultimate challenger arrived, sending a chill through the air. A bound mutant known as Niflin entered the pit. Metallic restraints fell away as the beast hit the floor. The arena gate slammed shut, sealing their fates together. Confusion gripped Chen as a pressurized capsule hissed and detached from the creature's neck, releasing its true form. A skeletal goblin rose from the dust. In the stands, a woman shrieked in terror and clung to her partner. Her companion breathed a sigh of relief for choosing the back row, narrowly avoiding a total loss of composure. He whispered hollow lies of protection while the mysterious woman following Chen stared at the horror in disbelief. She knew this beast was far beyond Chen's level. Saving him would blow her cover and ruin her entire plan. Trapped in a deadly dilemma, Chen cursed his boss's absence during this sudden, life-or-death crisis. The pressure was suffocating. This wasn't a man, but an apex predator, and Chen was merely its next meal. Every fiber of his being screamed one thing: this monster was a walking death sentence. The creature's finger morphed into a blade. A sudden strike nearly claimed Chen's life as he dodged by a hair. This was a dance with death. Sensing the monster's killing intent, Chen threw aside all restraint and engaged. The sheer force pushed him back. He needed to end this nightmare before his borrowed strength completely failed. He reached the overwhelming EUS-4 level. With a roar, he smashed his hands down upon the beast's head. He watched for a kill, but the beast rose with terrifying speed, slashing its claws across his shoulder. His ultimate strike had failed. Faced with impenetrable skin and lethal claws, close-quarters combat was a suicidal gamble. He needed steel. As the beast lunged, Chen snapped off its own bladed finger to use as a dagger. He delivered a shallow slash to its throat. It wasn't a killing blow, but its pain gave him hope. Even at his peak, the monster's raw power was superior. He needed one perfect, close-range opening to survive. Suddenly the arena was engulfed in a thick, unnatural fog. Was it poison or just a tactical shroud? Pain flared as invisible claws found their mark. He swung blindly, but the predator had vanished into the mist. The beast was playing a game of attrition, using the haze to hide its fear of being exposed. His borrowed power was a ticking time bomb. If he didn't finish this soon, the recoil would kill him. Our hero willed himself to stay calm. His eyes ignited with a brilliant piercing light, scanning the green haze. There! He caught the silhouette in the mist and severed its limb in one fluid, brutal motion. The monster's blood sprayed the floor, but as Chen moved to finish it, a stabbing agony seized his heart. Had he reached his physical limit? The beast knocked his weapon away and struck him with a long tongue. Refusing to fall, Chen forced his power to flare. He grabbed the sticky tongue and hauled the beast toward him. With a primal roar, he pried the monster's jaws apart until the creature was literally split in two. The arena boss demanded an update, but his men were blinded by the thick fog on the monitors. As the mist cleared, the boss turned pale. The crowd erupted into a deafening cheer for their new champion. Standing over the mangled remains, Chen cast a chilling glare at the guards that made their blood run cold. The boss trembled. He had spent a fortune on that city-grade mutant, only for it to be slaughtered. The announcer boomed, crowning Chen as the champion. He was led away to claim his prize money. Backstage, the prize money shimmered under the dim lights. 510,000 gold was finally within his reach. Before he could touch the prize, the boss slammed the case shut. The terms had suddenly changed. He offered a choice: become a slave fighter for the house, or leave with a measly fraction of his winnings. Chen's eyes burned with fury. The boss whined about his dead mutant, demanding compensation for his lost investment. He claimed Chen broke their pact. Chen countered that extra matches were never part of the original agreement. He reminded the boss of the arena's ironclad rule. No questions are ever asked about a fighter's identity. Entering the pit meant signing a life and death pact where no one held responsibility for the fallen. Whether his opponent lived or died was Chen's choice. He demanded every single coin of the 510,000 gold. The boss's patience snapped, leveling a gun at Chen's head. You aren't walking out of here alive. Chen seized his wrist, metal crunching under his lethal grip. He sneered, asking if a mere gun could stop him. The gunman's screams echoed as his fingers shattered. Kill him. The order rang out. Suit-clad killers circled him, weapons aimed. Chen sighed as a deafening volley of gunfire erupted throughout the hall. The woman heard the roar of gunshots from where Chen had vanished. Suddenly, a body crashed through the window. The onlookers stood paralyzed in total shock. Passers-by wondered if a movie crew was filming this insane stunt. But the woman knew the truth. This was no Hollywood performance. It was life or death. Chen's fist sent teeth flying. Clutching the briefcase, he stood firm against the hail of bullets. He lunged, seizing an attacker's head with brutal precision. He hurled the man aside and bolted into the night. The chase was on. Shadows moved as they sealed every backstreet and exit to trap him. Agony flared in Chen's chest. The borrowed power was devouring him. His wounds bled out, but suddenly, a mysterious hand reached out from the dark. It was the woman from earlier. She silenced him as hunters prowled nearby. They huddled in the suffocating shadows of a narrow, forgotten alleyway. Once the danger passed, she breathed a sigh of relief. "You're safe," she whispered. Chen recognized her face as she urged him to conserve his strength. She revealed a hidden passage to the outside world. Guiding him through the darkness, she pointed toward freedom. "Go straight and you will find safety. Leave before the net closes," she urged. Chen shared one last look of gratitude before disappearing into the night, heart pounding with every step. She answered a call, facing a lecture about the Blackwater district. "Linen," the voice chided. She simply replied that she had a gift for Grandpa. She reported that something unusual was afoot. Hours later, Chen reached his sanctuary. The moment the door closed, his legs gave out and he collapsed. Pain surged through him like liquid fire. Drenched in sweat and deathly pale, he fainted. His system flickered. Rank E, Level 2, Borrowed Force active. 999 wishes remained, yet 0 rewards were claimed. He now had 510,000 toward his crushing debt. Total debt. 9,980. 8,912. A flickering memory of a hospital bed haunted his fading consciousness. His mother's voice promised she would recover soon. It was a beautiful lie. Her condition was terminal, a secret hidden behind a brave, fading smile. She had 2 years left, at best. Her only wish was to see him wed and to see his children before her time finally ran out. She longed to touch his face one last time. The video played on his phone, an apology for her fading strength and broken, tired body. "I love you," she whispered. The sun wept by her side. As her world faded, her final words echoed in his soul like a haunting melody. Chen's eyes snapped open, tears hot on his cheeks. Sunlight flooded the room, signaling the start of a new harsh day in this world. He was home safe in Zhou Chen's house. That haunting dream was the only thing that could drag him back from the abyss of death. "Awake already?" the boss asked. Chen wondered where he had been. The boss sighed, claiming he had endless fires to put out lately. "I have been busy," the boss explained. "But I found you half dead on the floor. You have been out for 2 whole days, kid. I thought you were a goner," he continued. He knew about the arena. He knew Chen had been fighting for his life in that blood-soaked pit. Using that much borrowed power against a monster nearly caused a total collapse. The boss barked a warning about his reckless power usage. "You could have died out there," he scolded. Chen countered that it was not recklessness, it was survival. He had no other choice but to fight. "Don't get cocky," the boss growled. "Reviving you nearly drained me dry. If you die again, I will not be able to save you." He lectured Chen on the weight of a second chance. "You have tasted death. Now, start acting like you actually want to keep living." Surprised by the concern, Chen nodded. He would treasure this hard-won life. The boss grunted in satisfaction, his point finally made. The creatures Chen described were anomalies, things that should not exist here. Chen did not care. He was done with that hellish place forever. Never again would he step foot in that nightmare. He thought of the girl but shook his head. Some connections were not meant to last. Progression was his only goal now. Then, he remembered the prize. He checked the briefcase, the cash was still there, a golden lifeline. "Was the arena worth it?" the boss asked. Chen smirked. With 510,000, his debt was finally under control for now. Now he could focus on the exchange meeting and leveling up. But first, he had to tend to the gaping wound in his abdomen. Minor cuts had vanished, but the abdominal wound remained stubborn. He needed a hospital before the grueling school training began. But first, a trip to the bank to secure his earnings. "No rest for the weary," he muttered. At the hospital, the verdict was delivered. "It is a nasty wound, but you are healing at an impossible rate," the doctor noted. He warned Chen to stay out of trouble. "Are you a prophet?" the doctor asked curiously. Chen confirmed it. "Explains the injuries. We actually have a loyalty program for your kind." Chen declined the discount card, opting for standard meds. The doctor handed him a potent, specialized anti-inflammatory instead. At least the monster's strike was not toxic. As Chen relaxed, a strange itch bothered his eyes. "Pay at the front," the doctor signaled. "Why is this bottle glowing?" Chen asked, mesmerized. The doctor blinked. "Glowing? It is just normal medicine, kid. Maybe you need a nap." Confusion clouded Chen's mind. The light was vivid, shimmering with power. Was he the only one who could see the world's hidden secrets? Stress-induced hallucinations, the doctor diagnosed. He immediately pivoted into a sales pitch for a high-priced counseling session. Chen walked out, dazed. Suddenly the entire ward was ablaze with light. Medicines, people, everything was glowing. Was this his true awakening? What separates mortals from prophets? It is the touch of star energy. He gazed intently, wondering if that shimmering aura was the true light of the stars themselves. Did the battle trigger this? If so, it was a massive breakthrough. For any prophet, the key to ascending is how much star energy their physical vessel can successfully absorb. Sensing that energy would make cultivation effortless. Suddenly, a stranger caught his eye. As the man passed, his internal star energy pulsed with a terrifying, extraordinary intensity. Feeling observed, the mysterious man glanced back. His sharp eyes scanned the crowd, but he sensed no formidable warriors nearby, and dismissed the strange sensation as nothing. The man answered a call. The voice on the line questioned his hospital visit, reminding him of their vital mission. They must locate the elusive alien star. The green-haired man chuckled, noting he rarely traveled. He planned to stay in the country, enjoying his freedom while checking in on their precious little princess. His contact agreed. According to the boss's prophecy, the alien star was the ultimate catalyst destined to shift the very flow of history and change everything. Until they knew if it was a friend or foe, they had to observe. The man scoffed, claiming his boss was far too cautious regarding such matters. If the alien star proved a threat, he would personally destroy it. This was Air, a legendary A-rank thief from the academy and a dangerous individual. Meanwhile, the principal confronted Chen. Since joining the elite class, the boy had been a ghost, ignoring messages, skipping every lecture, and completely vanishing from sight. Chen felt cornered. The principal's information was perfect. He quickly bowed, fabricating an excuse about a sudden family emergency that required his immediate and undivided attention. He apologized for the silence and accepted any punishment. However, the principal's expression softened. He didn't want to punish him, he was merely worried for him. He wanted to ensure Chen was safe. Chen reassured him, then asked if the principal feared he would forfeit the upcoming and highly anticipated exchange match. The principal denied it firmly. He trusted Chen's spirit completely. He simply worried that Chen was hiding some private hardship, too proud to ask for help. As a talented prophet, the school would support him unconditionally even if he skipped the match. They were dedicated to his growth above all else. The academy's sole purpose was nurturing elite prophets. Chen nodded, moved by the support, and assured the principal that he was perfectly fine and ready. He vowed to give his soul to the exchange match and bring honor to the school. Satisfied, the principal dismissed him and sent him back to class. He added that Chen's friends had been frantic with worry, even storming his office. Stepping into the classroom, Chen was met with a wave of concern. Jiaru threw an arm over Chen, demanding to know his whereabouts. Shioxia added that even the teachers were baffled. They had truly feared for his safety. Chen claimed he was busy with family matters. Seizing the moment, Jiaru brought up the advanced combat techniques they had been discussing before he vanished. He handed over a card. He and Shioxia had scraped together 300,000 for him to use. He could simply pay them back whenever he could. Chen was stunned by their loyalty. He had only mentioned it in passing. Touched, he explained that the technique wasn't worth the price and he declined. He thanked them for the gesture, deciding to look for something better. Suddenly, an unexpected voice interrupted them, calling out Chen's name from across the room. Wen Hao approached, his face red with shame. Having overheard their talk of money, he offered his own savings card containing 50,000 to help Chen out. He hoped Chen wouldn't mind the small amount. After his loss, he told Chen that if there was anything he needed, he only had to say it. Chen told him to stop acting like a servant. Shioxia snapped at Wen Hao, suspicious that he was scheming something or trying to butt into their business. Wen Hao denied any hidden agenda. He simply wanted to apologize, admitting he wrongly believed Chen used backroom connections to enter the prestigious special class. After Mr. Zhang's explanation, he accepted his defeat wholeheartedly. Chen's power showed him the massive gap between them, and he now truly desired his friendship. Shioxia whispered that Chen was the first to ever humble Wen Hao. She asked if they should let him join. Chen shrugged, saying he didn't mind. Shioxia told Wen Hao he could be their fourth member. He accepted instantly, declaring that his rank didn't matter as long as he could stand with them. Jiaru joked that the new recruit should pour him water. Wen Hao countered that if anyone deserved water, it was Chen, their undisputed leader and powerhouse. He pointed out Jiaru's loss. Jiaru sputtered at the newcomer's sudden boldness. Watching them, Chen felt lucky to have found such a reliable and spirited team. He felt fortunate to be alive to experience this camaraderie. Later, training hard on the treadmill, Chen analyzed the leveling system's core and simple logic. The physical vessel must absorb star energy. The more energy held within the body, the higher the prophet's overall level and power will climb. High-intensity exercise boosts efficiency, which is why prophets focus on physical training. But the actual rate of absorption was much harder to master than expected. Even with weighted equipment to maximize intensity, Chen's absorption remained low. Any energy not integrated quickly would simply leak out and vanish into the air. Such waste was why many stayed level 1 forever. At this rate he would never reach level 4 before the big competition began. He desperately needed a way to spike his absorption. Jiaru approached him, complaining that their current solo training was becoming incredibly dull and boring. He challenged Chen to a spar. Suddenly, Chen had a realization. He remembered that his greatest growth happened during that desperate fight against the monster. That battle forced him to master energy perception. He told Jiaru that if they were sparring he had a plan that required everyone's full cooperation. The arena lights flared. Shioxia's palms and Jiaru's rending fist struck in unison. They engaged Chen together, their movements perfectly synchronized in the heat of battle. The intense session left them both completely drained. After an hour of non-stop combat, they collapsed, gasping for air and begging for a rest. Shioxia admitted she thought the 2-on-1 idea was a joke. She hadn't expected him to be serious. Jiaru praised the method, calling the results amazing. Without the pressure of winning, they could throw themselves into the fight and test new techniques. Next, it was Wen Hao's turn to face the heat. Chen's theory was correct. All-out battle maximized absorption. With their strong foundations, this intense training would soon lead them all to a massive level up. With his growth peaking, a reckless idea sparked. Standard star supplements were diluted, made safe for the weak masses. For those with mediocre vessels and low absorption, even thousands of bottles wouldn't trigger a breakthrough. Yet borrowed star energy was 100 times more potent. Attempting to absorb it directly would surely shatter his physical form. If he could regulate the flow, he could forge that power into permanent strength. It was a gamble worth taking. He activated the borrowing skill. The sheer magnitude of energy was staggering, finally explaining his previous double level up. He meticulously compressed the roaring tide, channeling the essence directly into the core of his heart. Even a fragment was overwhelming, flooding his veins instantly. Despite his frantic efforts, the surge was too much to contain. His body reached its limit. He released the pressure, sending a shockwave that everyone mistook for a massive earthquake. They watched in awe as his star energy skyrocketed. Even the boss emerged, stunned by the sudden eruption. The boss was baffled. Chen explained he had carefully throttled the intake to avoid total self-destruction. Miraculously, it worked. Seeing Chen endure such power, the boss realized this boy was truly his fated partner. Star supplements are refined from rare crystals and grass, crafted to restore energy, boost strength, and mend broken bodies. Chen blinked, asking if the boss had spoken. The boss dismissed it, relieved Chen was alive. Suddenly, Mr. Jiang burst in, frantically checking for casualties. Jia pointed to Chen. Jiaru explained the post-sparring anomaly. Mr. Jiang stared, horrified by the overflowing raw energy. At his command, Wenhao brought the scanner. Level 3. The result left the entire room speechless. Their school hadn't seen a level 3 in years. Jiang rushed to the principal while Xiaoxia begged for his secret. He shrugged, claiming it was just normal training. He hadn't expected his breakthrough to cause such a massive scene. Next time, he'd practice at home. Jiaru was inspired by the intensity, while Xiaoxia believed more sparring was the key. Wenhao cut their rest short, eager to train. During the bout, Chen noticed the boss's usual insults were missing. The boss admitted he was adapting. If such methods brought rapid growth, he would hold his tongue. Their fates were linked. Chen reassured him, revealing a massive reservoir of untapped star energy still hidden within. Absorption would soon lead to level 4. The boss watched as time surged toward July 12, 2026. Only 55 days remained. Through relentless training, the days blurred. Finally, September 6, 2026 arrived the day of destiny. The exchange tournament venue was packed. A sea of spectators gathered for the legendary showdown. Jia stood trembling on the stage, imagining her mother's tears of pride. Jiaru noted the record-breaking number of competitors. Wenhao questioned Chen's readiness. The chasm between level 3 and 4 was a terrifying reality. He regretted they couldn't fight side by side. Chen smiled, reminding him that just standing here was already a victory. Safety came first. He'd forfeit if necessary. Soon, the different levels were forced to part ways for their matches. Jiaru promised to cheer him on later. With Xiaoxia's blessing, Chen gave a final wave and departed. His moment arrived. As he prepared, the principal marveled at the luxury of the exclusive VIP section. Jiang noted their past was limited to low-tier matches. Suddenly, a familiar face approached them with a broad grin. Ode Wong arrived for a handshake. Principal Ming Yuan offered his hollow congratulations to Principal Wei. Ming was shocked by their rapid progress. Wei credited his students' blood, sweat, and unyielding spirit. He simply supported their drive and thanked Ming for the crucial heads-up on the rule changes. The central authority upped the stakes. Winning meant massive subsidies. The competition would be a literal bloodbath. A sneering voice cut through. These country bumpkins were clearly making too much noise for his liking. Wei bristled, but Ming held him back. These were former champions, monsters you didn't want to provoke. Wei countered coldly. Past glory meant nothing. The throne was currently empty and up for grabs. Last year's champion, Li Tuo, scoffed. He mocked them, claiming only the weakest curs barked the loudest. He told them to memorize the view, as they'd never see this height again. Wei merely scoffed. Jiang whispered his anxieties about the elite pressure. Wei simply asked for his honest opinion on their disciples. Jiang replied they were brilliant, particularly the boy named Chen. His talent rivaled the artificial prodigies of elite schools. Wei nodded, they just had to believe. A bespectacled woman clutched a sign for Leno. Her nerves visible in this overwhelming arena. Anxiety gnawed at her. When she first heard Chen would compete, the shock was nearly overwhelming. 7 days had passed. Since his transfer to the elite class, a vast distance had grown between them. His path was unknown. Yet now he stands as the academy superstar, representing them in a level 4 clash. She feared a genius like him would ignore an ordinary girl. Suddenly, her foot caught, and she stumbled. A strong hand caught her. It was Chen. His familiar voice asked if she was all right, leaving her breathless. She thanked him, surprised by his presence. He smiled, claiming he simply wanted to greet an old friend. She confessed her fear that his new elite status meant their friendship was a thing of the past. To him, true friendship transcends mere rank. That simple truth brought a warm, radiant smile to her face. Relief washed over her. He hadn't changed at all. Her heart held absolute faith in his upcoming victory. The stage beckoned. Chen stepped forward, clad in sharp black gear, radiating the aura of a true warrior. He looked cold, sophisticated, and deadly. Eyes turned toward him as his Class E Level 4 stats flickered. He held 90,099 wishes with 0 rewards. For now, no immediate debts were due. Yet, a staggering debt remained. 9,988,912. The hosts welcomed the distinguished guests and eager students. 2 figures stood ready to lead the event. The announcer opened the Outer District Regional Exchange Tournament, introducing himself and the lovely Lillian to the crowd. The stadium erupted. No one expected Lillian, the legendary idol, to grace the stage as their host. Even without her stage outfit, her charm was undeniable. She stood there simply as Lillian, not the idol. The contestants are the true stars, she declared. Then, the brutal rules of engagement were finally revealed. 12 academies sent their best. 16 level 4 masters and 32 level 3 elites prepared for battle. Only the level 4 titans would grace this main arena. All other matches were relegated to the secondary hall. Every victory across both tiers would be converted into points to determine the ultimate academy ranking. The rules were ruthless. 1-on-1 duels. Only the victors would advance toward the crown. Survival of the fittest continued until a champion rose. To spark true intensity, the time limits had shifted. 30 minutes was the limit. Victory was claimed only through total incapacitation or a desperate surrender. The hosts urged them to unleash their hidden power. Though the stakes were higher, safety remained guaranteed. Lilian introduced a legend, Bai Yue, the S-rank oracle. A man most only dreamed of seeing on screen. Disbelief gripped the crowd. With a single flick of his finger, the very earth began to tremble. A display of godlike power. The ground ascended, forming a specialized arena born from his sheer will. He wove powerful barriers around the stage, shielding the spectators from the devastating shockwaves of battle. After every clash, the master would restore the stage. The warriors could fight without any restraint. Finally, their gemstones were mandatory. They served as both their entry proof and a vital lifeline of protection. The contestants watched in awe. A mere gesture had reshaped the battlefield into a grand theater of war. Seeing such overwhelming might in person was chilling. Deep down, Chen couldn't help but agree. He knew S-rank power was godlike, but this level of sheer dominance was beyond his imagination. However, seeing his boss's nonchalant attitude instantly shattered the tension. Match updates would arrive via their gemstones. The slaughter began. Match 1. The West Coast's Wanglu versus the Blue Extreme's lethal Xiao Ran. The opening clash was savage. Ran ended it in 17 minutes with a devastating, cannon-like blast. As the second match loomed, Wei and Ming Yuan watched the carnage unfold from behind the glass. Wei was stunned that an S-rank master was involved. This year's competition was evolving into something truly monstrous. Ming Yuan noted the massive gulf between ranks. Level 4s could finally unleash their most devastating battle arts. Elite academies spared no expense, arming their pupils with high-tier C-rank techniques to ensure total dominance. This ruthless investment kept them at the top. It was the foundation of their absolute confidence. Principal Tuo calmly sipped coffee. Meanwhile, Ming Yuan noted that Qin was a rare, early awakened talent. Principal Gu bristled with embarrassment as his failed poaching attempt was mentioned. Then, the next match was called. Before the announcement finished, it was over. 5 seconds. A single lethal strike from Wang Zhou ended everything. Leon Guang Oracle Academy, the 3-time reigning kings, just displayed absolute dominance. The stadium erupted in pure, unbridled madness. The crowd already hailed them as the inevitable champions. Zhou watched, knowing exactly how this predictable script would end. The boredom was suffocating, but a spark of excitement finally hit. Zhou was a monster, clearly forged by Principal Li's personal training. Tuo scoffed that loud dogs only bark to hide their weakness. Mingyun glared back, telling him to just wait for the massacre. Wei stayed silent, feeling the overwhelming gap in their power levels. At their current stage, simply qualifying felt like a miracle. A single victory from Chen would be a legendary upset. In the 7th match, the Shaiman contestant secured a brutal win. 20 minutes of carnage passed. After a tense breather, the final round loomed and Zhou was the ultimate wildcard. He wondered what kind of sacrifice would face him. The boss didn't care, ordering him to borrow power and end it instantly. Chen hesitated. Revealing level 5 power now would draw dangerous eyes. A formal investigation would be a total nightmare. A shadow blocked the hallway. Tough luck reaching the finals, Qin sneered, her voice dripping with cold pity. She delivered the grim news. Chen's opponent was Leche, the monstrous top-tier genius of Chongshan Oracle. His legendary Thunderbird kick could shatter D-rank warriors. Chen frowned, noting how lethal such a move was for a student tourney. She explained the protection gems only prevent death, not the agony of a broken body. It was a grim reminder of the academy funding wars. Chen thanked her, curious why a rival was offering him a lifeline. Their principals were old comrades, making her a reluctant ally. They shared one goal: toppling those arrogant elite bastards. She hoped he'd act like a proper shield. At least drain Leche's stamina before you're crushed, she added coldly. She vanished, leaving Chen to wonder if Leche was truly a demon. Finally, the main event began to a restless crowd. As Chen stepped onto the stage, the arena trembled. The dark horse had arrived, and the spectators were hungry for blood. The deafening roar caught Chen off guard. But reality hit as Leche was introduced. The cheers were never for him. Leche made a flashy, superhero entrance, pure arrogance for someone without plot armor. The crowd worshipped his every move. Chen's gaze turned sharp and serious. The spotlight belonged entirely to the golden boy of Chongshan, the invincible Leche. An oracle at 12, level 4 by 16, a certified genius with invitations from every major guild in the nation. Calling him a new era monster wasn't an exaggeration. The stadium shook as his frenzied fans screamed his name. Tanjin watched the lopsided support in silence. It's only natural, a woman behind her whispered with a smug grin. Leche is a handsome god. Chen looks like a gloomy, pretentious loser. No one would ever cheer for him. Rage flared in Tanjian. He has a fan right here, she yelled, defending Chen's quiet, humble strength. He's a true warrior, unlike that flashy brat with a face as fake as his personality. A verbal war erupted. Tanjian's classmates watched in shock, never having seen her this fired up for anyone before. The tension was electric. The host hyped the crowd, wondering if this young genius would redefine the entire era. Could he finally shatter the Lianguang dynasty? Let the final clash begin. The announcer's voice boomed. Stop. Lilian interrupted. The host had been so blinded by Leche's light that he forgot the other contestant. Flustered, the host apologized and finally announced the opponent. Zhou Chen of the Leon Oracle Academy. There were no past achievements to list. No signature techniques. Just a blank slate standing before a living legend. This was his debut on the grand stage. Chen sighed, wishing they had at least bought him one flashy move. The crowd whispered in mockery. A debut? That school probably went bankrupt just to raise one level 4. A fighter without a technique? What a pathetic waste of a spotlight match. The spectators groaned in disappointment. They had lost all hope of seeing Leche's ultimate power. Meanwhile, Tanchen's rival laughed at their school's pathetic standing. Wei's head throbbed from the public humiliation. Ignore them, Mingyun muttered, his jaw clenched in frustration. Every legend has a beginning. Leche smirked at Chen. You've got terrible luck facing me for your first fight. Being a genius means carrying heavy expectations. I can't show mercy, even if I sympathize with your situation. Spare me the lecture, Chen replied. Just fight. Suddenly Leche blurred, moving with the speed of a lightning strike. He appeared at Chen's ear. I'll use 10% power. Let's make this look like a decent struggle for the fans. Make the most of this charity. Chen didn't blink. He'd already told the brat to fight for real. The announcer screamed as Leche flickered across the arena. The final match has officially begun. Leche lunged with blinding speed, appearing instantly. But Chen saw every strike and he didn't move an inch from his spot. Che was clearly playing with his food. The commentators gasped, was this a display of some legendary secret technique? Che's phantoms flickered across the stage. Chen was trapped in a storm of strikes born from pure, blinding speed. Che's terrifying prowess turned the battle into a blood-pumping spectacle. Even Chin grimaced, this kid was going to be a nightmare. Duo watched in stony silence, but Yu smirked, he knew Che hadn't even shown his true, devastating power yet. Recruiting such a genius was worth every penny. Che sneered at the frozen Chen, asking why he'd already given up. He mocked him for failing to track 10% of his speed. Only Duo is fit to stand against me. This is your end. Say your prayers. Che roared. But Chen simply looked up, asking if Che would finally stop running. Crack. Che's face met a stone-heavy fist. Chen hadn't shifted an inch, leaving the announcers in stunned, slack-jawed silence. The elite stared in disbelief as a tooth flew through the air. Even the stoic observers were shaken to their core. In a flash, Chen's simple counter shattered Che's momentum. With that insane speed, how could he possibly fail to evade? Was it a fluke or pure incompetence? The crowd erupted in fury, screaming at Chen for daring to strike Che's face. Cheater? They howled. But Chen just shrugged. If Che wasn't going to strike, he'd gladly take the initiative himself. What a ferocious strike. Ming Yun cheered. It seemed Wei had been hiding a true monster in his ranks. Impossible. You screamed. No level 4 is faster than Che. No backwater school could ever forge such a weapon. He barked accusations of hiring a ringer. But Wei countered, the official inspectors aren't so easily fooled by imposters. Are you saying you're smarter than the High Council? Wei mocked. Tuo sighed, telling them their bickering was a disgrace. The referee went to call the match, but a bloodied hand stopped him. Che was rising, his eyes burning with vengeance. The battle blazed back to life. Che realized his mistake and finally unleashed the thunderous power he'd been suppressing. Lightning erupted, bathing the arena in blinding star energy. Even Chen's composure cracked as Che's speed hit a new dimension. Ricocheting off the barriers like a bolt of light, Che prepared his ultimate soul-crushing signature battle technique. He launched his explosive thunder kick with absolute certainty. But mid-air, bam. Another fist sent him hurtling back. Che crashed into the far wall like a broken doll. You should have struck before you built up all that speed. Che was finished. His star indicator bled red, signaling total defeat. Winner, Zhou Chen, the host bellowed. Chen exhaled, relieved he hadn't accidentally killed him. Thanks to the Starstone's protection, the kid would likely survive. The stadium was a hive of whispers, nobody even saw the punch. Next, the quarterfinals kicked off with a fierce clash. Liu Ya claimed a dominant victory. Following her, the brackets moved fast as the strongest warriors faced their destiny. Then came Zhou Chen's turn. While others struggled, Zhou ended his match with another single, devastating blow. He'd spared his classmate from a worse fate, but the crowd only wanted Chen. Zhou's gaze turned murderous. The crowd froze in fear. Quarterfinal 4. Zhou Chen versus the brutal Xiao Ran. The legendary explosive fist was unleashed. Xiao Ran's strikes were lethal and unpredictable. Yet Chen danced through the chaos as if reading the future itself. One hit, one victory. In the shadows, mysterious men in black watched, noting that Chen hadn't used a single formal technique. He was using pure star energy to turn his body into a weapon. His control was so flawless, techniques were redundant. Is he a high-level smurf? They whispered. Or is he fueling his heart with illegal, power-boosting drugs? Either way, it was foul play. The authorities dispatched an enforcement squad to uncover the truth immediately. The stage was set for the first semi-final. Leighton's dark horse Zhou Chen against the brilliant Liu Ya. But wait. Mysterious officials swarmed Chen, demanding he undergo a forced star energy pressure test right then and there. The crowd gasped, the Mid-City District Special Inspectors. These men were the final word on rank and power levels. I knew it. He's a fake. The crowd jeered, convinced Chen was an over-leveled ringer hiding behind a mask. Did I show too much? Chen wondered, making a mental note to stay low-key. The inspectors stared at their scanners. The results flashed. Level was perfect, no discrepancies, and zero trace of illegal substances in his system. The results are in. The host shouted. Zhou Chen is a legitimate E-rank level 4. The arena exploded in shock. A heavy silence fell over the stands. How could a mere level 4 possess such godlike, overwhelming skill? The fight began, but Liu Ya was already trembling. In the blink of an eye, Chen won with another strike. It was a total shutout. Zhou Chen advanced to the finals, leaving Ming to praise Wei's secret prodigy. Elite officials surrounded Principal Huo, praising his legendary teaching. Leighton Academy had finally birthed a true monster. He'd fulfilled his promise. Now, the arena shook as Duo and Qin faced off for their epic semi-final showdown. Carrying her academy's honor, Qin locked eyes with Duo. His bloodlust was suffocating. Then, the signal sounded, the battle began. As cheers erupted from the stands, Duo's gaze flickered. Seizing his momentary distraction, Qin lunged forward with lethal intent. She struck his chest with her flowing cloud hand. Yet, Duo remained an immovable mountain, his icy glare piercing her soul. Terror seized her strike did nothing. Sensing her hidden magical arts, Duo's hand clamped onto her arm like a vice. She swung a desperate elbow, but he mocked her magic as a joke. Rage boiled within her at his sheer arrogance. Entrapping him in her mana, she retreated to safety. But in a blink, Duo vanished, reappearing behind her like a ghost. Petty tricks, he sneered. Before she could react, he unleashed his boiling blood technique, a devastating strike fueled by fury. She flew back as the stage crumbled. This was the true power of the semi-finals. Yet, Duo stood completely unscathed. The crowd watched in tearful horror as Ming trembled for her friend. Qin lay broken, her body covered in brutal bruises. Her talisman slipped away, but her will held firm. She remembered a rainy school day, where her juniors huddled in fear. A junior wept. Without the subsidy, her dreams of becoming a recruiter would vanish. She'd be forced back into labor. Qin vowed to win the championship and save their futures. Hope flickered in the young girl's eyes at that promise. She recalled the handmade charm they gave her, a symbol of their faith. Now, she refused to let their dreams die. As she reached for the charm, Duo crushed it beneath his boot. How boring, he spat, delivering a ruthless kick. Silence fell over her supporters. The system flashed red, her starstone was depleted. Qin had lost her ability to fight. Though declared the winner, Duo wasn't finished. He charged his foot with lethal energy for one final, cruel blow. Stop. The match is over, the host screamed, calling for guards. The audience watched in terror at Duo's senseless malice. Ming screamed for him to stop. Ua intervened before he kills her. But Ua remained calm, claiming there was no need. Dust exploded as Chen intervened. Is bullying the defenseless your academy's way? He demanded, shielding the fallen Qin. Duo glared at this new challenger. The host exhaled in relief while Ming rushed to Qin's side, tears of gratitude falling. The arena erupted in fury against Duo's cruelty. Crush him in the finals, Chen. The crowd roared in unison. One more trash makes no difference, Duo sneered. At those words, a cold, dark fury ignited within Chen's heart. Both warriors demanded the final match begin immediately. As the arena was repaired, Chen's allies gathered, their faces grim with anticipation. How's it looking? Jiaru asked. Tian looked on. Worried. Chen was in the finals, but Duo was a literal monster. Mingyun spat in disgust at Duo's madness, warning Wei to watch him closely. Be careful, Chen, they whispered. Don't worry, Chen assured them. Duo mocked him, asking if a commoner with zero resources actually thought he could win. This outcome was decided at birth, Duo boasted. Chen cut him off coldly. Enough trash talk. Are we fighting or not? Duo's eyes blazed. Begin, the host roared. Duo lunged with a lethal punch, but Chen stood still as a statue. Is this it? How disappointing, Duo scoffed. Chen shot back. I was about to say the same. Duo froze in shock. Is that all a champion offers? Chen taunted, launching a counter. Fists clashed at sonic speeds as Duo unleashed his boiling blood. In 10 years of hosting, I've never seen such intensity in a level 4 bout. The announcer screamed in pure awe. Unbelievable. For a debut competition, Chen's power was staggering. Even his closest friends watched with their jaws on the floor. They'd sparred before, but Chen had been hiding his true strength. One level difference? No, the gap felt like an abyss. Chen's fist connected with Duo's jaw. Even Jiang was stunned. Chen was overpowering, an elite backed by limitless family resources. Pain? Duo reeled. It took several seconds to realize he'd actually been wounded by a mere nobody. His ego shattered. Enraged, Duo ignited boiling blood to the max. Ua watched as star energy erupted from his pores, skyrocketing his strength. These battle techniques were fascinating. Duo became a blur of speed, yet Chen's heightened perception tracked every single movement. Through sheer focus, Chen's senses transcended. Nearby, staff gasped. Duo's star energy was spiking into the danger zone. Check his level, the staff urged. But Ua remained calm, noting Duo had utilized this forbidden technique many times before. It forces the body beyond its natural limits. Since he applied it globally, it wasn't a violation, just a suicide mission. The staff retreated, realizing their premature panic. Ua narrowed his eyes. Chen was still holding back. Just how deep did his reservoir of power go? The crowd saw nothing. Chen's losing. Jiaru cried. But Wenhao saw the truth. Chen was actually parrying and guiding Duo's strikes like a master. Dancing past the blow, Chen inhaled deeply. His counter-strike was so heavy that even Duo's block couldn't stop the massive knockback. Gritting his teeth, Zhou struggled to stay upright. He finally admitted it. Chen was the first rival capable of pushing him to his absolute limit. Yet his pride remained unshaken, declaring himself the strongest. Chen simply smirked, taunting him. Is that all you've got? Chen ignited his borrowed force. With 0 charges left, the final showdown was about to explode. Both warriors wound up their fists. It was a clash between boiling blood max and the mystery of borrowed power. Steel-like arms collided in a deadlock. Suddenly, Chen triggered his perception, turning every incoming strike into slow motion. He spotted the opening Zhou's heart. A devastating elbow strike connected, forcing the arrogant fighter to cough up blood. Chen didn't stop there. Zhou's eyes widened in terror. How were his opponent's speed and power still accelerating? Refusing to fall, Zhou unleashed his star energy in a desperate roar. But Chen's gaze remained cold, ready to deliver the finishing blow. Zhou lunged with a death-defying punch. Their fists collided, triggering a shockwave that threatened to tear the arena apart. Blinding light and thick smoke swallowed the stage. Even Wei held his breath, wondering who survived that catastrophic impact. As the haze cleared, a figure appeared. It was Zhou, still standing. But then, his legs gave out as he collapsed. The battle was over. Only one man remained standing amidst the ruins. Chen. The host's voice boomed, announcing the victor. He was now the level 4 group champion. Against all odds, Lin Academy had achieved a historic, miracle comeback. With 200 points, the crown was theirs. For the first time ever, a regional academy had conquered the overall championship. Liang Guangyu took second with 160 points. Yun Huayu followed closely behind with 135. Zhong Guangyu secured 4th place. The Lin supporters erupted in cheers. Their unwavering faith in Chen had finally paid off. Mr. Zhang roared with pride. Even the stoic Wei couldn't hide his admiration for the young hero's legendary performance. No more begging for scraps. Mr. Zhang stared in disbelief as Wei focused on their newfound financial freedom. Sensing Wei's presence, the other officials rushed over. They were eager to shower the champion with praise and congratulations. While two seethed in silence, Yu hesitated. Ultimately, he swallowed his pride and followed the crowd to greet the winner. The curtain fell on the match. Wei turned to leave, entrusting the final formalities to the arena's diligent staff. Chen had truly piqued his interest. But then, his gaze shifted toward a middle-aged man and a mysterious schoolgirl. He recognized the visitor instantly. It seemed Chen's talent had drawn out big players. The girl was Lin Yan. Her companion was stunned. He never expected a backwater district to produce such a monstrously talented young martial artist. No wonder she was so invested. He turned to Lin Yan, asking if she'd heard rumors of this boy before. He hoped she could recruit him. She revealed a shocking secret. They were actually childhood neighbors before she moved away. Years of silence followed their separation. They had only crossed paths by pure chance recently in the gritty Blackwater district. He didn't recognize her, but she vowed to recruit him. Meanwhile, Lin Academy officially hoisted their hard-earned championship trophy. Wei's speech echoed through the hall. They had proven that even a small pond can nurture a divine golden phoenix. Cameras flashed as reporters swarmed Chen. Honestly, the media circus was more exhausting than the life-or-death battle he just finished. By the next morning, Chen was a headline sensation. In his office, Wei offered his deepest, most sincere gratitude. He handed over the promised crystal. There was no better recipient for this treasure than the one who saved their school. Chen held the prize, his heart racing. Wei warned that elite inner-district institutes would soon come knocking at his door. He urged Chen never to forget his roots. With a firm nod, Chen gave his word Lin would always be home. Leaving the office, he found his inner circle waiting. He was stunned to see the trio skipping their usual break. They had come to celebrate. Jiaru threw a friendly arm around Chen, his face beaming with pure unadulterated excitement. Admission letters had already flooded in. To their shock, there were invitations from the legendary 5 great academies. They were all accepted into the elite ranks. Chen congratulated them, never doubting their hidden potential for greatness. Jiaru credited their success to Chen's leadership. As his loyal brothers, they refused to settle for anything less than excellence. He dreamed of them becoming ultimate partners. Chen looked confused until Shixia stepped in to translate Jiaru's rambling. It meant Jiaru was leaning on him. Even in different courses, their bond was forged in fire and unbreakable. She promised they'd stay connected. Chen smiled warmly, admitting that the path to the top would be lonely without them. He eagerly anticipated their future duels. Suddenly, a new figure approached the group. It was none other than Tiantian. She asked to join their training circle, her heart set on growing stronger. Tiantian stepped into the room, determined. Tantian shared her gratitude, while Jiaru jumped in to assist. Curiosity sparked as Jiaru asked Chen about his future school plans. Chen dropped a bombshell: no acceptance letters yet. Jiaru was stunned. Having received his own the very day the tournament concluded. Even the 5 great academies had sent offers. Surely, someone would scout a talent like Chen. Yet, he remained in the dark. Principal Wei intervened, revealing he had news to share. He presented a mysterious red envelope, an acceptance letter that had just arrived. Jiaru grinned. He knew Chen wouldn't be ignored. He urged him to rip it open and see which prestigious academy called. It was an invitation from the legendary Dawnbreaker Blade Oracle Academy. The instructions were clear. If he accepted, the card was his lifeline. He must report by September 16, 2026. To decline, he simply had to snap the card, instantly voiding his eligibility. Jiaru's sudden shout echoed through the room. He was reeling. Dawnbreaker was the absolute pinnacle, standing far above the 5 great academies. Chen was confused, so Jiaru explained the hierarchy. Among the nation's oracle schools, 5 legendary institutions were hailed as the ultimate best. Morning Star, Watchers, Red Lion, Azure Sky, and Alpha. Each academy stood as a monolith of absolute authority and overwhelming power. They held ultimate privilege. Yet one sanctuary reigned supreme over them all. That legend was the Dawnbreaker Academy. Dawnbreaker always had first pick. Even the greats had to wait in line. Chen wondered why they weren't counted among the 5. Principal Wei explained that Dawnbreaker's true value existed on an entirely different plane, far beyond the metrics of the 5 great academies. It was a fortress built to subjugate the fishers. By government decree, the very existence of these rifts remained a classified secret. Outer sectors were kept in the dark. But inner sector members knew the truth. Unfortunately, Tantian hadn't earned that clearance yet. She offered to leave, but Principal Wei stopped her. He granted her permission to listen, provided her lips remained eternally sealed. A fissure is a realm teeming with monsters rivaling oracles in power. Since these gateways are two-way, nightmares can escape into reality. Should they breach our world, the devastation would be total. When a fissure opens, oracles must dive in to subjugate the horrors. Glory and riches await the victors, but the peril is soul-crushing. Principal Wei himself was once part of an elite subjugation team. One tragic mission decimated them. After a core member suffered permanent, crippling injuries, their collective spirit was completely shattered. They disbanded in despair. Other schools test students with fissures, but Dawnbreaker's trials are of a different, more lethal caliber. Their mortality rate is the highest, without question. Wei urged Chen to weigh the cost before stepping into that abyss. It was merely a priority offer. Even if he declined this path of blood, other prestigious schools would still beg for him. Wei wouldn't let him walk blindly into a death trap. But Chen's resolve was ironclad. He would go. A chance for ultimate strength and wealth? There was no way he'd refuse. Principal Wei smiled. He knew the boy's fire. He saw the making of a legendary warrior. Jiaru grinned, vowing not to be left behind as they grew stronger together. Together, no fissure could stop them. Chen nodded, but Jiaru suddenly pointed out the looming 16th deadline. It was already the 6th, only 10 days remained. Usually, students are granted half a year of peace to prepare. Wei explained that Dawnbreaker follows no laws but its own. Ordinary standards didn't apply. Chen had to move, and move now. He apologized to Tantian for leaving her training unfinished. Xia reassured him, promising they would handle everything while he was gone. Returning to his room, he began packing his essentials. Suddenly, the boss emerged, clutching the shimmering crystal. The boss pierced the crystal, draining its mystical essence with a cold gaze. The depleted stone fell and shattered into useless dust. Chen gasped in horror. His potential fortune was gone. He'd planned to sell that crystal for some much-needed cash. The boss shrugged. The stone was trash, only the energy mattered. He then recalled Chen's academic business. He asked for an update. Chen revealed his acceptance into Dawnbreaker, the place with the world's most elite resources. It was the ultimate stage to gain power and settle his debts. The only catch? He'd be hunting nightmares in the fissures. Rumors claimed even oracles feared those depths. The boss scoffed, claiming oracles and fissures shared the same primordial origin. The very star energy within oracles was birthed from fissures. Terrified, Chen begged for a reward to ensure his survival. He noted a wish was fulfilled, treating the boss like a personal genie. He reached out, expecting a miracle for free. Since his own goals lay within the fissures, the boss agreed. Empowered by the crystal, he prepared to grant a divine reward. Brace yourself, kid. The fragment of creative authority synchronized with its host, detecting Chen's current rank of E4. It bound itself to his soul, reconfiguring his very existence. Optimal reinforcement began, restructuring his body for legendary power. Residual star energy was detected and instantly converted. The breakthrough was successful. Rank E, level 6 achieved. The fusion was complete. Chen now held the fragment of creative authority. Confused, a screen of information flooded his vision. A relic of the demon god of creation, Sathoth. It granted the power to create divinity itself. Chen trembled. Who was this god? The boss revealed Sathoth was an old comrade, bestowing this divine creative authority upon him. It awakens a holder's hidden potential, reshaping their very race and physical vessel into something legendary. Realizing previous rewards were mismatched, he granted Chen a fragment of this supreme creative power. Now Chen could forge his own destiny. Yet, he questioned why such complexity was needed for leveling. The boss laughed at his ignorance. For an oracle, levels merely sharpen basic physical traits. Without true potential, even a max-level warrior is mediocre. Thus, the creative authority was essential. He feared Chen might awaken a worthless ability. A weakling is a liability. Chen thought of Qin. She had unlocked her Esper abilities early, proving her potential was her ultimate weapon. Combat skills felt trivial by comparison. To conquer the fissures, raw potential was the only path. Without it, a single monster would be his end. This power relied entirely on his own perception. Trial by fire would be his teacher. Suddenly, Chen could no longer absorb the surrounding star energy. The fragment had evolved his body. Even the ancient system UI transformed into a sleek game interface. The familiar layout was intuitive. It displayed his name and his rare human oracle bloodline. His potential stayed locked. At rank E6, he had 30 constitution but 0 strength or spirit. Perception was active alongside 994 evil god wishes. The status bar hinted at more. He sought a shop, but the exchange system was restricted until he reached rank level 7. All management and advancement features were barred. He had to grow stronger through leveling first. But there was a catch: he needed souls. This mysterious essence is harvested only from fallen fissure creatures. Souls equal power. Seeing his shock, the boss realized Chen lacked the vital key for progression. He had to hunt fissures now, especially since star energy cultivation was no longer an option. Entering a hunt now was a death sentence. The boss sighed at the constant trouble Chen invited. Bound to this fate, the boss granted a final reward. The legendary Cadra demonic armor. Dark energy enveloped his form. He had acquired a unique fragment of the demonic king's plate. Carrying the soul of heroic spirit King Cadra, this soulbound relic required no physical weight. Its manifestation skill summons a spectral defense, shielding the body while drastically boosting his raw strength. Chen was impressed. Despite the limited coverage, the defensive and offensive buffs were monumental. The boss grumbled about the cost, having spent all his saved power on these high-tier rewards. Calling it an investment in the future, he told Chen to excel. Chen felt a surge of motivation. A taxi waited outside the next morning. Principal Wei and his allies arrived to see him off. He was bound for the mid-level city. One day's travel stood between him and his academy training. Wei warned that returning wouldn't be easy. He offered his support for any future struggles. After Shiakia's farewell, Chen reached the airport. The staff questioned his mid-level city visa. He cited school enrollment, leaving the staff baffled since it was clearly the middle of vacation. Avoiding a direct confrontation with family, Chen trusted the principal to deliver his letter safely. While the principal guarded his home, Jaru vowed to reunite with him in 6 months' time. Jaru expected great things by then. After a final goodbye, Chen prepared for his flight. The airport official scrutinized his documents, asking for the purpose of his high-sector travel. He repeated his intent to enroll, though the timing seemed suspicious to the airport staff. She demanded official proof. Chen casually presented his Dawnbreak Academy identification card. The staff gasped. In all her years, she had never seen a student card from such a prestigious sect. The pilot announced their arrival for 10 a.m. Soon, Chen stood before the academy's grand gates. The silence was overwhelming, unlike any school he knew. He sought the registration desk with curiosity. Upon seeing his card, the receptionist's coldness melted into a warm, expectant welcome. Chen was bewildered. He knew no one here, yet the staff claimed someone had been waiting. They reached a mysterious monolith. He was told to press his black card against the ancient stone. Is this some kind of secret gateway? Chen wondered. The guide only smirked. Brace yourself. The vertigo is only the beginning. The instant his card touched the terminal, reality warped. He stood paralyzed, realizing the previous facility was just a mere facade. The legendary Dawnbreaker Academy sits beyond mortal reach, the guide explained. Only these ancient teleportation stones can bridge the vast distance. Exploration could wait for another day. Right now, a mysterious figure was already standing by, anticipating his arrival with quiet intensity. Soon, they reached their destination. There sat the elegant Lin, sipping tea while two formidable students stood guard like stone statues. Do you still recognize me? She teased. Chen nodded firmly. He had been searching for the right moment to repay his debt. He never dreamed she would be his senior. Nearby, a stunning violet-haired girl dismissed the escort with a curt nod of gratitude. After confirming the payment transfer, the guide vanished. Stepping forward, Chen finally asked, "Why did you call me here specifically?" Suddenly, a hand blocked his path. "Know your place, trash from the outer sector. You have no right to approach Lady Lin. Watch your tongue, Qin Mingchang," Lin snapped coldly. "Chen is my honored guest." She then gestured for Chen to join her. Chen did not mince words, asking her to be blunt. With a small sigh, she decided to get straight to the point. "My guild needs fresh blood," she declared. "Join us, and I will pay you 30 million credits as a starting bonus." 30 million? Chen froze. He knew elite hunters were expensive, but such an astronomical offer for a rookie was simply unheard of. Most beginners barely see a million. "Are you mad?" Ming Chang shrieked. "That sum could hire 3 veteran B-rank warriors easily. Or even a legendary A-rank oracle. This gutter trash is not worth a single cent of that fortune," he spat. As Ming Chang raved about the absurdity, Lin's eyes flared. "Ming Chang," she roared. "Since when did I ask for your pathetic opinion?" Trembling, he stammered an apology. Yet, a dark curiosity burned within him. Just who was this kid to deserve such fierce protection? The silent violet-haired observer noted Chen's arrival in the central sector. Being new, he was likely still a free agent. "This is my absolute limit," she urged, her eyes sincere. Chen felt his resolve waver. It was a life-changing sum of money. Why invest so much in a lowly E-rank? Before he could ask, a booming announcement shattered the tension across the campus. All freshmen were summoned to the assembly hall immediately. The final student had finally set foot on the prestigious school grounds. "Leave your bags here," she said softly. "I know this offer is sudden. It is only natural to feel some hesitation." She urged him to deliberate. After orientation, the crucial senior freshman pairing ceremony would begin, a turning point for every new student. When the choice comes, pick me as your mentor. Consider it a way to balance the scales for saving your life. Having a powerful ally in this cutthroat world is not a bad deal. Chen nodded slowly. "I will give it some thought." Satisfied, she had her aide escort him. Inside the hall, a cocky blonde-haired student stood waiting, radiating an arrogant, superior aura. "Am I really the final arrival?" The blonde laughed. "Well, legends always know how to make a grand, dramatic entrance." His grueling efforts had finally paid off. Word was that the prestigious Lin family heiress was also attending this year. He figured a sheltered girl would be easy to manipulate. With her influence, his family's empire would reach unprecedented heights. Then, his eyes fell upon the plain-looking Chen. A total weakling," he sneered. "Perfect. One less rival to worry about." To highlight his own brilliance, he sat right beside Chen. Just as the crowd settled, the head professor stepped forward. Professor Jiang Hui, their new mentor, stood before them. "Do not expect me to spoon-feed you," he warned with a sharp gaze. "I am a busy man. My only duty is to judge your trials and record the scores of the worthy survivors. Beyond essential tasks, the Academy grants total freedom. Your schedule, and your ultimate fate, are entirely in your own hands. You were all hailed as geniuses in your homelands," he began. "But within these walls, that title means absolutely nothing. Forget your shallow victories. Here, you are mere infants facing a terrifying reality that defies everything you think you know. Behold, the fissure," he roared. "A realm where oracles hunt, or are hunted. It is a game of life and death. Human technology is worthless inside. Only raw oracle strength and weapons forged from Fisher essence can slay the horrors within. Dawnbreaker is the world's final shield. You are being groomed to be the ultimate warriors on the bloody front lines. Seek knowledge in the archives or hone your killing edge in the combat simulators. Preparation is the only way to survive. Weekly masterclasses are available, but the choice is yours. Forge your own path to power, or wither in your own ignorance. Knowledge is your greatest armor. The deeper you understand the Fisher, the higher your chances of becoming a legendary powerhouse. Adapt or die. If you lack the stomach for this, leave now. Yet, he saw only burning ambition in their eyes. These youths were ready to stake their lives. Having survived the initial pressure, each student was granted a mysterious skill stone. Chen's stone glowed, bestowing the Wise Eye skill. Now the real test began, conquering a low-rank Fisher to prove their worth. Reach D rank and awaken within 6 months, then secure 100 academic credits within the year. Terror gripped the students. Jumping from E rank to D rank in 6 months felt like an impossible mountain. Though the order didn't matter, Hui urged them to awaken their latent powers before entering any Fisher. For the level 5 blonde, hitting D rank was practically guaranteed, a mere step away from his current rank. He smugly assumed no one in this entire rookie batch could possibly rival his superior power level. Meanwhile, Chen was stuck at level 6. Without supplements, he needed a Fisher to trigger his evolution. Hui calmed the rising panic, promising low-cost supplements to help everyone bridge the gap to D rank. Resources weren't an issue, and elite mentors would be assigned to guide them through their credit requirements. He summoned the seniors, and when a silver-haired goddess appeared, every student froze in absolute awe. These elites were introduced as the invaluable mentors who would oversee the high-stakes freshman assessment. Hui announced that each freshman could pick a mentor, who would then personally design their trial. Every eye in the room locked onto Lin, the mysterious beauty whose presence eclipsed everyone else. Whispers erupted. She was the sole heir to the Shenhua Guild, one of the 4 legendary powers. Greedy for a connection to Shenhua, the students plotted to impress her while Chen watched in silence. One brave soul stepped forward, declaring he had come solely to serve under Lin's prestigious guidance. She glanced at his stance, identifying him as a strength type before coldly stating she only taught magic. Another student begged for her help, claiming he intended to master both physical might and magic. She dismissed him instantly, explaining her pure mage path held 0 wisdom for his dual-spec dreams. Aspiring mages lined up, only to realize the crushing reality of the great guild's elite standards. The rejected students retreated to other seniors, while Lin's picky nature became a headache for the professor. We warned her. She was required to take one student, or he'd assign her the very last leftover. She finally agreed, her sharp gaze piercing through the crowd to lock onto a surprised Chen. The blonde laughed at the filtered losers, confident that his high level made him the only choice. He expected that, as the top remaining candidate, he'd be assigned to the young lady of Lin. Suddenly, Chen stood up. He didn't want her knowledge, he wanted to fight right by her side. He asked her to be his mentor, making her blush as the others mocked his insane arrogance. To their shock, she smiled brilliantly and chose him, declaring that he was the only one. The blonde stood frozen in disbelief. Her choice defied all logic and shattered their perceived standards. At the mission hall, Chen followed her inside, questioning why she'd recruit an unawakened newbie like him. As the Shenhua heir, she had an army of experts. She certainly didn't need an unranked novice. He couldn't grasp the value she saw, but she admitted to having her own secret, personal reasons. Details would come after the trial. For now, his only priority was surviving the academy's entrance test. She introduced his squad, starting with Su Han, a formidable C-rank level 5 shadow expert. With her shadow veil potential, she would supervise the mission while strictly remaining outside of combat. She issued a chilling warning. If she had to save them, the entire assessment would end in failure. Next was Lu Wei, a D-rank healer whose recovery skills were vital for mending their battle wounds. Joining them was Jia, a D-rank wind specialist tasked with providing essential support during the fight. The only other male was Li Rui, a D-rank warrior whose potential focused on lethal armament enhancement. As the self-appointed leader, he demanded absolute obedience if they had any hope of passing the test. Noticing Chen lacked gear, he skeptically asked if he'd awakened some kind of rare, invisible potential. Chen introduced himself as a mere E-rank, admitting he had yet to awaken any special abilities. Rui was appalled, questioning how the academy could ever pair a battle-hardened team with a clueless rookie. Lin silenced the complaints, stating the team was set, while Wei urged them to just focus. Rui begrudgingly accepted, ordering the others to keep a sharp eye on Chen once they entered. Wei told Chen to stay close, but his talk of experience sounded like pure arrogance. Rui secured their passage using a world tree fragment to tear open the fissure. As they entered, Chen felt the star energy, sensing a chance to level up. At the gloomy grotto, they were instantly ambushed. Han vanished into shadows while Rui braced for D-rank demon wolves. The pack lunged, driven by bloodlust. Lin fired arrows as Rui unleashed a frenzied slash, but his reckless charge left her exposed. A wolf grazed Lin and another lunged for her throat. Suddenly, Chen's fist connected, shattering the beast's bones. As he checked on the shocked Lin, a system alert flashed. He had harvested 10 souls. A grim realization dawned on him. Only his killing blow harvests souls. Even a low-tier beast yields 10 fragments. Thrill surged through his veins. Stronger prey meant a richer harvest. It was time to hunt the monsters lurking in the depths. Meanwhile, Lin struggled against the demon wolf, desperate for aid. Wei rushed over, casting her recovery magic instantly. Lin stared in disbelief. How could a mere freshman save her without her even seeing his blade move? Observing from above, Han noted their raw power was sufficient, but their synergy was abysmal. Especially Rui. For a captain and tank, his leadership was non-existent. The selfish tank was blinded by his own kill count. He completely ignored the mortal peril his backline comrades were facing. His high level and elite gear masked his fatal recklessness. But these fishers do not forgive mistakes. Without immediate regrouping, this test would end in a bloodbath. Rui scoffed, claiming the trial was child's play. He boasted that without these deadweights holding him back, he could dominate the abyss alone. A shadow lunged from behind. Rui reacted, but his blade bounced off hideously tough hide. 2 D-rank rock wolves charged, leaving the arrogant captain paralyzed with pure terror. His pathetic scream echoed through the cavern. The noise drew a pack of predators. Suddenly, they were completely surrounded by snarling rock wolves. He barked orders at Wei, demanding an immediate heal. When she hesitated due to the distance, he snarled for her to use her legs. He threatened her, shifting all blame for failure onto her shoulders. Despite Lin's warnings, Wei rushed into the fray, only to be targeted by a lunging predator. Han watched in disgust. Rui was using his own healer as cannon fodder to save his skin. Any hope for passing this test was vanishing rapidly. Han prepared to intervene, but a shadow moved faster. Someone snatched Wei from the wolf's jaws. It was Chen, silencing the beast with a crushing grip. He tightened his hold until the beast bled out. System message. 30 souls acquired. This prey was leagues above the demon wolf. His theory was proven. The greater the threat, the more souls he would harvest. The wolf's stony hide was paper before his demonic armor. Stay behind me, he commanded, carving a path through the chaos. Wei stared, wondering how he would manage. Snatching Rui's discarded blade, he charged into the pack. Before the wolf could even growl, it was silenced forever. Another 30 souls added to the tally. He claimed another life, reaping 30 more souls. Han stood frozen. This was not the movement of a D rank. He was a total beast. Is he really just an E rank? Lin gasped. There was no time for questions. As more wolves swarmed, they sprinted forward, fueled by pure adrenaline. Get down, Chen roared, unleashing a whirlwind of death. 3 more wolves fell, granting him 90 souls. A heavy silence followed as the immediate danger passed. He directed Wei to tend to the wounded. As Lin watched him suspiciously, Wei moved to treat a whimpering, pathetic Rui. While they recovered, Lin joined Chen on watch. He suggested she rest, but she stood firm, unscathed thanks to his timely intervention. 210 souls in total. This harvest exceeded all expectations. At this rate his growth would be unstoppable. Suddenly, Rui shrieked that he was quitting. Wei pleaded with him, reminding him of the effort they spent getting here. Lin marched over, her patience finally snapping. I am the one doing the work. Rui barked. He complained that he would never pass this trial while being dragged down by a group of pathetic insects. Lin fired back, noting that his own recklessness had led them into this nightmare. Wei tried desperately to play the peacemaker. Wei begged them to stop fighting and focus on finishing the trial. But Rui just groaned, exaggerating his injuries to gain the upper hand. He believed that without a tank, they were helpless. It was a calculated ploy to make them beg for his protection once more. The silence was broken by Chen. You can stay here, he said calmly. He would take the front line and lead the team himself. Rui stared in disbelief. For Chen, this fissure was a golden opportunity for rapid leveling. He was not about to let it slip away. Chen stated that if the team needed a tank, he would step up. Rui laughed, calling him a delusional fool for thinking a few kills made him a legend. Without gear, the final boss will turn you to dust, Rui sneered. To his absolute shock, both Lin and Wei immediately sided with Chen. Rui's face contorted with rage. How could they trust a kid with 0 gear and even less potential to lead them? Lin saw his raw skill and was willing to gamble. Wei simply could not bear to see their hard-earned opportunity go to waste. He is more reliable than a crybaby moaning over a scratch, Lin spat. She told Rui he could rot there while they moved forward without him. She beckoned the newcomer, completely dismissing their supposed captain. Rui trembled with fury. He was the leader, yet they treated him like air. He vowed to make them regret this. Deep within the fissure, a new pack of rock wolves lunged, only to be met by arrows. Lin's suppressing fire worked perfectly, allowing Chen to execute the beasts. 60 souls collected. Suddenly, Wei spotted a shadow wolf stalking the front left. Lin loosed an arrow, but a second shadow wolf lunged from the darkness. Chen reacted instantly, hurling a dead wolf to crush the hidden assassin. Another 10 souls earned. Is everyone alright? Chen asked. The area fell silent. It seemed the final wave had been cleared. How many did we take down? Lin asked. Wei calculated at least 40 kills. The progress was so smooth, they had lost track of time. Wei credited their survival to the newcomers' incredible tanking. There was zero pressure. Chen humbly reminded them that it was their combined synergy. The final arena was within reach. Lin urged them to press on and clear the test. Wei nodded, her resolve stronger than ever. As they walked, they questioned the mysterious blue light that flickered on his arm during the heat of battle. They had seen it. Explaining the system would be a nightmare, so Chen prepared a lie to keep his secrets hidden. He claimed it appeared out of nowhere. Was it physical armor? No, it was a rare attachment-type potential awakening. Now Lin understood his suicidal bravery as a tank. Wei wondered if he awakened early, but his answers remained cryptic. Lin knew he'd lied about having zero potential. A blatant lie, she realized. Wei excused it as freshman ignorance, even though such legendary early awakenings were practically unheard of. She warned him reporting potential is mandatory for safety. It ensures every hunter gets the respect and support their abilities deserve. Master tanks were a rare treasure. Yet internally, Chen questioned if he even needed a team for this mission. They kept snatching his kill shots, robbing him of precious souls. To maximize his gains, he had to clear fishes solo. No competition meant all the spoils. With 810 souls collected, he still needed 2,000 to trigger his next level up. Han was stunned a rank E freshman had seized control of the battlefield. His strength was overwhelming, and his tactical genius was undeniable. He was a born leader, far surpassing Rui's incompetence. Lin's scout was a masterstroke. At this pace, the trial would be over in minutes. She spotted Rui lurking in the shadows, stalking them like a vulture. What was he plotting? Suddenly, a shock hit the entire team. They reached the final chamber, but it was eerily empty. Wei guessed there was no boss, or perhaps they'd already slain the target. Lin sensed the trap. If the target fell, the fissure would be collapsing. Without a closure, the test was a failure and a disaster. Could this be a special anomaly? Suddenly, Chen's senses screamed. Above us, a massive beast lunged from the ceiling with murderous intent. They narrowly dodged the predator's ambush. As the dust cleared, the monstrous silhouette of their nightmare finally emerged from the gloom. Horror struck their faces. Standing before them were two rank D terrors, a shadow demon wolf and the legendary Rockwolf King. Han screamed for them to retreat. The exam was aborted. 3 elites and a boss? This wasn't a test. It was a massacre. The initial scans were wrong. The star energy had spiked. Against these monsters, their current skills were like paper against a hurricane. They had one chance to flee. Once she engaged the beasts, she couldn't guarantee their survival. It was run now, or die. While they panicked, Chen was calculating the soul harvest. 4 high-level cores? Tempting, but even for him the risk was absolute insanity. Suddenly, a notification flared to life. His first wish mission since obtaining the fragment had finally manifested before his eyes. Objective: seize the Rockwolf soul. Retreat meant failure, and any defiance against the system's contract would result in soul-shattering punishment. A punishment that only ends in death. The system was cold, effectively sealing off every exit and forcing his hand into battle. Boxed in by fate, the system's arrogance only fueled his bloodlust. With a savage grin, he told Han, "I've got this." They were his prey now. He invoked his demon armor, lightning-like energy crackling around him as he prepared for total devastation. Stats: Bloodline Human Thief. Status: Rank E6. Constitution 30, all other stats at 0. His potential remained a slumbering giant. With perception and the Cadra armor active, plus 993 wishes in reserve, Chen stepped forward to face the king. Facing 4 monsters alone was suicidal madness. Boss levels were gods of death. But Lin told Han to wait to watch the miracle. Lin trusted him. Han sighed. As an examiner, she had to honor his warrior's choice, even if it meant his certain death. She prayed he had an ace up his sleeve. Chen ordered them back, while Wei begged him to retreat if the tide turned. Their sheer aura was suffocating. Without his demon armor, a single glancing blow would have turned him into a bloody smear. Yet, fear was absent. Compared to the primordial horror bonded to his soul, these wolves were merely pathetic puppies. The shadow wolf lunged, followed by the king. Activating perception, Chen danced through their claws as they tried to encircle their prey. Lin gasped. He was actually holding off 4 rank D lords. Was this the true untapped power of a high-tier tank potential? Wei shook his head in disbelief. Their own captain was a joke compared to this freshman's raw, untamed power. Han whispered of legendary oracles who soloed lords, but witnessing a student fight such beasts barehanded? That was a first. His potential was immeasurable. Yet she knew lords weren't easy prey. Chen analyzed the situation. Their speed matched his own exactly. One-on-one was easy, but a 4-way ambush was lethal. He couldn't play the long game. He needed to thin the pack immediately. He targeted the king first, delivering a bone-shattering punch. But even his demon armor's strength failed to crack the beast's rocky hide. The king roared, activating rock armor to seal its wounds instantly. It was a war of attrition and the beast had the advantage. He needed a game-changer to break the deadlock. From the shadows, Rui watched in shock. How was this brat surviving against 4 lords? Incredulity turned to arrogance. If a weakling like Chen could survive, then these lords must be total pushovers, Rui reasoned. He saw his chance for glory. As the captain, he decided the killing blow belonged to him and him alone. Blaming the rookie for his own failures, Rui charged in with a sinister plan. Accidentally kill Chen, then claim the prize. Rui's blade was violently parried by Chen's bare fist. Perfect timing. Chen smirked, vanishing just as the shadow wolf struck. Panic seized Rui. He deployed his defense, but the impact shattered his shield instantly, sending him crashing into the cavern walls. Chen snatched the blade midair. With a lethal glint in his eyes, he charged the shadow wolf. Every single attribute point was dumped into agility. 800 souls vanished as his agility surged from 0 to 5. Suddenly, a notification flashed. New combat skill acquired Godspeed. With a swift arc, the wolf's head fell, yielding 750 souls. He hadn't realized stat milestones triggered such powerful skill awakenings. The skill boosted his speed by 10 and granted a devastating passive effect. This was the key to crushing the Lord-level boss. Another shadow wolf perished, adding 750 souls to his horde. Watching from the sidelines, Han stared, mesmerized by his blinding speed. The final wolf buckled under pressure, redirecting its rage toward the group saving Rui. Lin growled, furious that this coward's incompetence required their intervention. As the beast lunged, Lin stood her ground. "I'm no weakling," she barked, unleashing her specialized skill. Converging storm. Chen blurred into motion, intercepting the beast. "Nice work," he cheered, slicing through the creature to claim another 750 souls. His tally hit 2,260 souls. Only the Rockwolf King remained. It was finally time for Chen to ascend. 2,000 souls burned away as he evolved from E rank to D rank level 1. A pillar of celestial light erupted, piercing the heavens. The girls watched in stunned silence. A system prompt chimed. Authority holder has reached D rank. Primordial potential unlocked. The potential abyss granted him dominion over the void itself. A quest completed notification appeared, rewarding him with an exclusive combat skill. With 992 evil god wishes remaining, he focused on the Rockwolf. Coldly, he activated his new skill Touch of Death. Dark energy swirled as 4 abyssal tentacles manifested, pulsing with lethal piercing power. The evil god's reach had arrived. The Rockwolf's eyes filled with terror as it sensed certain death. Chen stepped forward, whispered checkmate, and decapitated the monster in one stroke. 5,000 souls flooded his system. Truly, a lord-level beast provided a harvest worthy of its legendary status. Without the piercing might of Touch of Death, this hunt would have been grueling. Finally, the Rockwolf King hunt was complete. He claimed the Rockwolf King crystal, a rare treasure forged from pure earth essence. Wei stared at him, breathless. "You're incredible," she stammered. A solo kill on a lord-ranked monster was practically unheard of. Lin approached cautiously, still unable to believe the nightmare was truly over. Fearing a hidden second phase, she hesitated. However, Han confirmed the star energy had stabilized. The lord was officially dead. Realization dawned they had passed. Lin and Wei embraced, tears of joy flowing after failing so many times before. This dream seemed impossible until Chen arrived to carry them through. Lin turned to him, her gratitude deep and sincere. Han began finalizing the official report. She commended Wei and Lin for their stellar performance during the high-stakes mission. "You've earned 5 academic credits each," Han announced. Wei demurred, noting that Chen had done the heavy lifting for the team. Han disagreed. They had recognized their limits, maintained procedure, and never became a burden, the mark of true professionals. Their composure under pressure was admirable. But Chen? His performance was the most legendary showcase from a freshman she had ever witnessed. Between his leadership and soloing 4 lords, he was in a league of his own. Han granted him a perfect base score of 10. By transferring Rui's points, Chen's total reached an unprecedented 15 credits. The girls gasped, such a score was unheard of. As Chen offered his thanks, Han admitted that only strict academy regulations prevented her from awarding him an even higher score. Rui exploded in protest over his stolen points, but Han's cold gaze silenced him. "You won't be needing them," she snapped. He had abandoned his post and deserted his comrades in a life-threatening zone. Such cowardice was grounds for immediate and total disqualification. Attacking a teammate sealed his fate. His results were voided, and his eligibility for the entrance exam was revoked permanently. Rui scrambled for excuses, demanding a formal review. Han shrugged indifferently. "File your complaints, it won't change the outcome. An investigation would only uncover more of his filth." Realizing his future was ruined, Rui slumped as the team prepared to exit. Back at base, Han confirmed the reports were submitted. Their hard-earned credits would hit their accounts within 24 hours. While Rui slunk away in disgrace, Lin and Wei eagerly swapped contact info with Chen, hoping for future collaborations. Han extended an invitation to the Ghost Shadow Guild. Chen hesitated. Wasn't a C rank minimum required for guild entry? Han explained that top-tier guilds were strict, but she could personally negotiate a $3 million contract for someone of his caliber. Though $3 million was impressive, Linen's previous offer was legendary. Chen declined, leading Han to believe he was eyeing the Shenhua Guild. "The door is always open," Han noted. Just then, a familiar voice cut through the air commenting on the successful mission. Linen had arrived to collect her protege. She curiously asked about their conversation, which Han casually dismissed as mere congratulations. After bidding the girls farewell, Chen turned to Linen. "Waiting for me?" She smiled, surprised he had cleared the test so quickly. His belongings were already at the dorms. As they arrived, she reminded him that more credits would soon unlock even better accommodations. The room was a luxury to Chen. But now, with the test behind them, it was time for the truth behind her recruitment. Concern clouded her face, but Linen stood firm. "I chose him because I trust him," she stated. "His performance today will silence any doubters." She revealed her status as the guild's heir, a title inherited from her late father. But it's a hollow crown. 3 cutthroat factions are already tearing the guild apart from within. To reclaim her birthright, she must forge her own legion of loyal warriors. And for that mission, she desperately needs Chen's lethal strength by her side. Chen was skeptical. The old guard couldn't be trusted. Why him? She admitted his brutal performance at the tournament left her breathless. She had seen his true potential. His hunger for power was exactly what she valued. But there was another leverage point she knew about: the crushing debt suffocating his every move. Her investigation led to a small agency in Light City, but they're just puppets. The real masters are a massive corporation with dark ties to the central government. They wield the absolute power to manipulate or erase anyone's identity at will. For a valuable pawn like Chen, there is no escape. Even if he paid the debt, they'd simply invent new ways to keep him chained to their service forever. As fate would have it, her greatest rival sits at the head of that very company. She offered a pact: join her, and she'd shield him from their reach. Once her enemies fall, his files will be erased, granting him true freedom. Their goals are perfectly aligned. Chen knew guild protection was his safest bet. Plus, the high-tier perks of membership would be invaluable for his future growth in this dangerous world. It was an offer he couldn't refuse. Chen accepted, pledging his strength to her cause, though he still wondered exactly what kind of dirty work awaited him. Her smile widened. There was no rush, he should continue his current path for now. With a subtle nod, she signaled her assistant to initiate the next phase. Suddenly, a notification chimed. 5 million had been transferred to his account. Chen stared in disbelief. She had sent a fortune without a second thought. Linen explained the C-rank contract was the guild's minimum standard. This massive sum was merely a gesture of good faith to show they were serious. The rest would follow once the official contract was signed. With the night deepening, she urged him to rest, leaving him with an open line for any future needs. After thanking them, the door finally clicked shut. Chen collapsed onto the bed, finally allowing the weight of the day to lift as he prepared for sleep. But sleep would wait. Reaching D rank had unlocked a surge of new system functions that he needed to master immediately. With over 5,000 souls harvested, it was time to evolve. Advancing from Dun to D2 required his entire horde of 5,000 souls. Improving his constitution cost 375 souls. However, boosting his agility to the next tier demanded a staggering 4,000. Spirit, sense, and strength were all at 0, each costing 30 souls to ignite. Finally, the mysterious potential stat required 60 souls for a single point. This new potential stat seemed linked to his abyss powers, but the cost was double compared to others. As his level rose, the prices were skyrocketing exponentially. The higher he climbed, the more expensive it became. Dumping everything into a simple level up felt like a waste of resources. Stat growth unlocked new skills like the incredible god speed from his agility. He invested 5 points into potential, leaving his soul count at 3,600. Instantly, his abyss touch of death surged to level 2, allowing him to command 6 deadly summons simultaneously. He also unlocked an exclusive skill, Abyss Space. This dimensional storage allowed him to hold sims within the void. Level 1 provided 60 slots for his gear. It was clear investing in potential amplified every abyss skill he possessed. Eager to test it, he activated the storage function for the first time. The interface displayed his meager loot, a water bottle, a crystal, and a demon armor fragment. With a thought, the bottle materialized in his hand. This changed everything. No more heavy packs. He could now summon any weapon or item from the void in the heat of battle. A rank-up option appeared, but he lacked the necessary key. Shrugging it off, he turned his attention to the most exciting addition, the exchange shop. The shop stocked vital supplies like recovery and stamina potions, each priced at a reasonable 100 souls per vial. The arsenal was vast, swords, shields, and massive axes ranging from 1,100 to 1,700 souls. Daggers and warhammers were also available for those seeking more specialized destruction. His last battle proved that a proper weapon was life or death. Standard gear cost a fortune outside, and custom-forged steel was purely for the elite. Curious about the system's quality, he pulled the trigger and purchased a lesser greatsword from the shop. The weight felt perfect in his grip, truly formidable. But his soul count had plummeted to just 2,160. This power was expensive. He needed to save what remained. Suddenly, the ancient book trembled as the boss manifested, drawn by the pulsing aura of Chen's new strength. Chen revealed he had awakened his abyss potential. Now, he could not only store items but also summon the entity to fight by his side. The boss was stunned by Chen's rapid progress. Chen confirmed he'd mastered the level-up process and had already survived his first deadly fissure assignment. The entity mused on how little time had passed. This unexpected growth was perfect. It saved them both an incredible amount of time and effort. Since Chen could now navigate fissures, it was time to push for a formal assessment. The boss looked at him, wondering why he was just sitting around. Chen was simply waiting for his potential rating. He reminded the boss that higher certification meant access to much more lucrative and dangerous missions. The staff finally called his name. The clerk scanned his file, her eyes widening. A mere freshman reaching D rank and awakening potential at this age was almost unheard of in this city. Since he was new, she explained the process. The machine would analyze the rarity of his potential, assigning a specific color to classify his future power. The ranks were clear: bronze, silver, gold, platinum, and the fabled legendary. 5 distinct tiers of destiny awaited him. Higher rarity meant limitless growth potential. She gently warned him not to be disheartened if his initial result wasn't at the top of the scale. A second awakening remained his ultimate trump card. En route, they passed students celebrating. One was ecstatic over his newfound silver tier status. Another wept over a lowly bronze rank. At last, Chen stepped forward. He handed over his black card and braced his palm against the sensor. The process was simple. Yet, the examiner froze as colors began to flicker wildly. Usually, the crimson glow of awakening ignited instantly. Scrutinizing the panel, she gasped. The device malfunctioned as a surge of raw, untamed energy roared from the core. Gasping for air, onlookers felt a crushing pressure. Never in all her years had the examiner witnessed such a violent chaotic energy spike. What rank was this? A deep violet hue appeared. Apostle, the screen whispered. A title completely missing from any known archives. Apostle sounds like a job class, she muttered. Chen pressed for answers. Oracles typically experience an incomplete first awakening, she revealed. Initial skills are basic, like fire or storm. Only a second awakening grants a true title, like flame warrior or storm mage. That is the oracle's ultimate form. Yet Chen possessed a full class immediately. She couldn't fathom how such a feat was even possible. Soon, the chief arrived, drawn by the chaos. The staff pointed trembling fingers at the screen. The potential tier was purple. The name Apostle mirrored an advanced class. Stunned, the chief leaned in to verify the readout with his own eyes. The data was flawless. Since the tech was otherworldly, errors were impossible. This purple tier signaled the birth of a new legend. The chief relayed the report immediately. Handing back the imprinted black card, they revealed his tier was a first in human history. With zero data to compare, the board took a drastic step. Chen's potential was now officially classified as a unique tier. This apostle rank required deep investigation. A final rating would be determined only after evaluating his future performance in the field. Did the authority of creation cause this? Meanwhile, the crowd erupted, jealous of the unique tier title that sounded incredibly cool. Skeptics sneered that new didn't equal strong. Yet, supporters argued that an apostle sounded like a figure of divine power. Chen scoffed internally at their awe. While they imagined grand destinies, he knew this was simply a gift from the boss. Certified at last, he set out to find a real challenge. His footsteps led him straight to the bustling mission hall. A student named Hao approached the newcomer. His squad was one man short for a gathering mission and needed a recruit. Hao offered an invite. Chen inquired about the details. It was a simple mining op, pre-scanned and guaranteed to be safe. Credits were lower than combat quests, but the gold was better. 50,000 gold and 2 credits awaited each team member. It was an offer he couldn't refuse. After registering on the school app, Chen officially joined the quest with a tap. He finalized the recruitment through the digital board. This streamlined system made hunting for work incredibly efficient for every student. With the team assembled, they prepared to move out. Chen noticed a lack of oversight. No safety supervisor for us? Hao explained supervisors cost extra unless it's an exam. Since this was low risk, they decided to save their precious gold. They reached the cavern, a shimmering grotto housing a massive crystal vein. Even Chen was captivated by the radiant beauty. The boss stirred, sensing something familiar. A new wish appeared. Harvest 150 crystals within 60 minutes or face failure. Abandonment meant a harsh penalty for the authority holder. Luckily, these ores hummed with incredibly dense and pure star energy. This energy could restore the boss's strength. Grinning at their luck, the entity urged Chen to begin the grueling labor. Handing Chen a pickaxe, Hao urged them to speed up. The group began hacking away, filling their bags with glowing minerals. Chen's raw power left Hao speechless. "Are you a strength type?" he asked. Chen just shrugged, giving a non-committal vague answer. Hao's eyes gleamed. Combat types were always in demand. He shared that his own skill only granted enhanced, long-range vision. Useless in battle, he was stuck with manual labor. Suddenly, the boss barked at Chen to stop the idle chatter. "Did you fail?" The boss hissed. The system chimed in. Chen lacked ownership rights, making storage of the crystals impossible. Seeing Chen dazed, Hao grew suspicious. He wondered if the newcomer was actually contemplating a bit of light-fingered theft. "Don't be foolish," Hao warned. "Everything here is Academy property. Stealing will result in a brutal, life-altering punishment." So the Academy claimed everything. No wonder the system blocked him. With only 1 hour left, the pressure intensified. How could he gather so much so fast? The boss remained cold, stating it wasn't his problem to solve. Sudden tremors rocked the cave. A massive crystal-eater earthworm emerged. The Worm King had made its nest deep within this vein. Their mining had enraged the beast. Fearing for their lives, they abandoned the crystals and scrambled toward the exit. They sprinted for their lives as the beast gained ground. Chen looked back once, then violently shoved Hao forward. Hao escaped the strike, but watched in horror as the monster swallowed Chen. Yet, Chen's strength kept the massive jaws open. The boss mocked his clumsiness, but this was a calculated risk. These monsters built their hoards deep inside the veins. An unregistered lair meant hidden treasure. Since the Academy didn't know it existed, Chen could keep every single crystal for himself. The beast plunged into the depths, but with lethal precision, Chen leaped free and delivered a crushing blow. Below them lay the mother lode, a nest overflowing with shimmering crystals. The master's eyes gleamed with approval. Yet a massive horde stood in their way, a truly hellish welcoming party. Chen feared this raid would yield no souls, but fate provided the ultimate test for his touch of death. Time was fading, so he unleashed a blitz. In a flash, worms fell, flooding his system with 120 souls. With only 6 tentacles active, he cycled them into a lethal, omnidirectional kill zone. He was finally mastering the flow. Touch of Death was far more efficient. But the cost was steep. No cooldown meant limitless power. But it devoured his spirit. Warning! Spirit levels critical. Total depletion risks fatigue, blackout, or even a permanent end. Deathly pale but victorious over the fodder, he unsheathed his steel and invoked the legendary Godspeed. In a blur of steel, the final worm was shredded, yielding 7,000 souls. "Not bad," the boss remarked coolly. "A passing grade," the master conceded. Chen smirked at the harsh critique, but the path ahead remained vast. With the fissure collapsing, Chen set his tentacles to work, lounging atop a slain worm like a true king. 80 out of 150 secured. Missing the deadline meant mission abandonment and a penalty he couldn't afford. With 37 minutes left, the haul netted 13,000 souls, bringing his grand total to 15,000. Solo leveling was the path to ultimate power. He downed a stamina potion, feeling his spirit slowly rekindle. Level 5 agility and potential unlocked new skills. But as he pushed other stats, a level up requirement flashed red. The soul cost for constitution was astronomical. For now, a single point would have to suffice. 5,000 souls ascended him to rank level 2, while 3,075 souls fortified his constitution to 31. With 1,600 souls spent, strength and spirit hit level 5, leaving him with 5,485. Strength level 5 unlocked heavy strike, granting him ironclad resistance and an unstoppable posture while charging. Spirit hit level 5, awakening tranquil breath, a vital skill that accelerated his recovery while at rest. Improving constitution yielded no skills. Were his base values already too high for the system to reward? The gains from strength and spirit were immense. Without hesitation, he activated tranquil breath to begin his recovery. Minimal movement counted as rest. By pairing this with Touch of Death's range, he could spam skills effortlessly. An infinite mana exploit. Yet the mysterious sense attribute remained an enigma amidst his combat-focused stats. Every stat screamed battle, but sense was an outlier. With souls to burn, he took the gamble. 800 souls pushed sense to level 5, awakening the god-tier skill. Eye of Authority. A permanent passive for intel. Suddenly, the hidden data of the Worm King lay bare before his eyes. A total game changer. But wait, a faint glow pulsed from the worm's corpse. Tentacle 6, dig it out. Buried within the Lord's carcass was a mysterious treasure. Even the Master sensed its power, yet couldn't claim it. System. Mutated crystalline lens acquired. A rare material forged from the purest condensed mutation energy. Upon activation, it unleashes raw energy. Combined with Kyra's demon armor fragment, a rank up was finally within reach. An evolution material for the demon armor. Even the Master was stunned that such gear could be reinforced. The secret to forging this armor was lost to history. But there was no time, the fissure was collapsing. Outside, despair took hold as the fissure began to seal. A gathering mission closing early? The crowd was baffled. Did the boss die? Or did the timer simply expire? Whispers of dread rippled through the gathering crowd. He's dead for sure, someone muttered. 30 minutes had passed, and the team frantically demanded a rescue. The staff sighed. The Worm King's nest was a treacherous labyrinth. Without a map, it was a tomb. To be swallowed by the king meant certain death. Howell wept, crushed by the guilt of dragging Chen down. If only Chen hadn't saved him. But then, a figure emerged from the collapsing rift, silencing the crowd. Was that him? The one eaten by the king? The crowd stood frozen in disbelief at the survivor. How did he survive without gear? Chen looked around, confused by the spectacle, while Howell nearly collapsed in relief. How are you alive? Howell cried. Chen shrugged, claiming he simply got lucky and stuck in the beast's teeth. He spun a tale of wiggling free and navigating by memory, lamenting the lost gear and crystals. In reality, the moment they abandoned ownership, he claimed the loot and turned it in for his own quest. Gear is replaceable, but a life is not. With the mission over, they headed out for a victory feast. The system chimed mission complete. 150 crystal ores gathered in record time, earning him the legendary Crystal Eater Worm King's core. Dread washed over Yui Qing that night. Her mother's hospital bed sat empty, prompting a desperate, frantic search for answers from the nursing staff. The nurse revealed the shocker. Her mother was now in the VIP intensive care unit, a sanctuary reserved only for the world's elite. Principal Hu of the Light Oracle Academy had prepaid for 6 months of luxury care, acting as a mysterious benefactor for the child. When the nurse mentioned the benefactor couldn't visit in person, a name immediately flashed in Yui Qing's mind. She knew it was him. Back at the dorms, Chen gazed at his new rank-up armor. This shimmering steel had cost him a staggering 3,000 harvested souls. New abilities surged. Adhesion enhancement for raw power. And perfect adhesion, a divine shield that detonates energy to nullify any incoming strike. Who knew the Creation Authority fragment hid a secret evolution path? It was a stroke of genius. Truly, a legendary day's work for Chen. With bonus crystals and rare materials secured in his inventory, the path was clear. More grinding would soon unlock their true potential. He funneled 3 million to Principal Hu for his mother's care, leaving 2 million to chip away at his suffocating mountain of debt. Finally, he could breathe. Once he climbed to high-level commissions, erasing the remaining debt would be a total walk in the park. But survival wasn't just about money. Even with Senior Linen's backing, the shadows were deepening, and things were bound to get bloody. Power was the only true shield. To protect his world, Chen turned his eyes to the campus recruitment board, hunting for fresh fishers. The board was a chaotic mix. D-rank hunts, desperate calls for damage dealers, and elite subjugation squads seeking only seasoned pros. Watching pros squabble over kill steals was a waste of time. Solo entry was blocked, so he needed a team, preferably one full of amateurs. If the perfect team didn't exist, he'd simply forge one. He drafted a recruitment notice that defied all common logic of the academy. Wanted? Non-combat supports. Bring any mission, any difficulty. The promise? A guaranteed absolute carry by the captain himself. Just follow orders and keep out of the way. The reward? A staggering 50-50 split. Even the system boss thought he was insane. Chen knew it sounded like a total scam, but it was worth a shot. Exhausted, he finally surrendered to a much-needed sleep. If his plan failed, he'd find a regular squad tomorrow. But the next morning, a relentless pounding at his door shattered his peace. Bleary-eyed, he opened the door to find a beaming Wei, flanked by a massive crowd of students waiting in the hall. Stunned and confused, Chen demanded an explanation. Wei simply pointed to his recruitment post, the spark that started this morning fire. They had flooded his inbox with no response. Knowing their connection, the desperate students begged Wei to lead them straight to him. His phone had been silent, a necessary precaution against the endless swarm of debt collectors and scam texts that plagued his life. He figured his terms were too absurd for anyone to actually believe. He never expected a literal army to show up at his doorstep. Wei explained the harsh reality. Low-level supports were the outcasts, constantly rejected by damage-hungry squads seeking speed over utility. The crowd whispered in doubt. Could this disheveled student really carry them? To their skeptical eyes, Chen looked like anything but a hero. A lone damage dealer clearing a fissure sounded like a total fairy tale. But Wei stepped forward, vouching for his monstrous strength. One support voiced the disbelief. They could literally stand there, do nothing, and still walk away with a massive fortune. Just listen and stay out of my way. Chen replied coldly. Instantly, the skepticism vanished, replaced by a desperate clamor to be chosen. The corridor erupted into a frenzy. Wei, overwhelmed by the chaos she'd caused, turned to Chen. So, which one are you picking? Chen's answer was simple. I'll take them all. Meanwhile, in the dark corners of the Hangshan group, violence was breaking out. A ruthless supervisor rained blows down on a subordinate. His failure had cost the boss face, and the price was being paid in blood. Your face is tough, but your heart is weak. The supervisor spat. If they won't pay, you go there and bleed them dry yourself. Steal their valuables or sell them into the pits as slaves. I shouldn't have to teach you how to be a monster. Failure next month meant being replaced. The company would harvest his organs and his precious parts to settle his outstanding debts forever. Battered and broken, the man limped out of the headquarters. His loyal crew waited in the shadows, horrified by his mangled state. They were falling behind the other squads. The lackey suggested it was finally time to engage in the dirty business. The leader's hand flashed in a sharp strike. He refused to descend into the filth that defined the other predatory gangs. Do you want your children born cursed? He roared. But the lackey pleaded if they didn't act soon, the boss would be dead. Enough. The leader snarled. They needed a miracle, a big score from somewhere else to keep the wolves at bay. Then, a name surfaced from the records, Zhou Chen. The broke kid had somehow just dropped a cool 2 million in cash. This pauper was now enrolled in the prestigious Dawn Academy. How did a nobody suddenly stumble upon such a massive fortune? He was no longer a minnow, he was a whale. Deep within a fissure, Chen's touch of death claimed a D-rank tree demon. Mission cleared. 5 credits and 300,000 gold were his. Next, the swamp fisherman, yielding 10,000 more souls. With that D-rank 2-star hunt cleared, he secured 4 credits and 15,000 gold as his prize. His next objective was a 3-star hunt against the towering defense of a D-rank giant rock. Chen harvested 5,000 souls from the kill, earning 5.5 credits and 30,000 gold as rewards. Loaded with souls, Chen focused on his stats, strategically dumping points to maximize his hidden potential. He sacrificed 8,000 souls into potential, ascending his rank from D-rank 2 to D-rank 3. He then infused 1,880 souls each into strength and spirit, boosting both to 9. Lastly, he burned a massive 14,640 souls to propel his potential from 5 to 20. Touch of Death reached level 3 with 8 lethal tentacles, while Abyss Space evolved to level 2. His storage capacity expanded to 200 as he unlocked a chilling new combat skill, Source of Fear. This ability manifests an internal abyss within a terrified target, tormenting their very soul with absolute dread. A piercing scream shattered his focus. Crystal shell scorpions had his teammates cornered and completely surrounded. Chen's roar echoed through the rift, startling the beasts as he warned them never to touch his team. The monsters recoiled in shock. Through his authority eye, Chen watched as their spirits crumbled into pure terror. The authority eye's precision was flawless, sensing even the slightest shift in emotion. It was time to test it. He unleashed the Source of Fear, sending the scorpions scurrying into the earth as Wei questioned his power. The display was breathtaking. Even the veteran support members admitted they had never seen anything so incredible. By exploiting their fear, he could control his enemies, summoning tentacles from within to trigger a lethal explosion. The utility was unmatched, but the soul yield felt wrong. Despite their strength, the rewards were suspiciously low. After collecting 2,100 souls, Wei announced the harvest was complete and it was time to leave. When Chen asked for the next mission, she revealed their task list was empty, every objective was finished. The team praised his efficiency and urged him to rest until the next contract was ready. Hours later in his room, Chen realized the truth. The system was penalizing him for farming low-rank rifts. The easy leveling era was over. It had been far too long since a new quest had triggered. He needed high-rank dungeons, but academy rules were absolute. D ranks were strictly forbidden from taking C-rank missions. Consulting Lin was too dangerous. He could not risk being targeted for his impossible and unnatural growth speed. Suddenly, a notification popped up. A simple bodyguard job offering 100,000 gold for a single day. He declined immediately. Money was enticing, but entering fissures was the only way to grow his power. The client tripled the offer to 300,000, but Chen remained unmoved, suspecting it was a prank. Then came the hook: there was a wild rift involved. That was finally a challenge worth his time. The next day at the park, his boss was confused. Chen explained he was meeting a mysterious contact. A nervous young man appeared, but Chen doubted this timid kid was the one who requested the job. The injured man from before revealed himself as the true client, letting the decoy flee with an apology. Chen realized he had been lured into a trap. This predator knew about the 2 million he had paid off and wanted his secrets. When Chen tried to walk away, the man's aura exploded. Using a star energy skill called Pressure, he revealed his true identity as Lin Yu, the ruthless loan shark from Chen's past. And that concludes today's epic recap. For weekly updates on this series, join the update gang over at my second channel, Manhwa Updater. Don't miss out on what happens next. Thanks for watching.